It's the craziest thing. And it's just like, and it's one of those things that transcends all the Twitter bullcrap. This isn't streamers are affected. This isn't veterans are affected. This isn't casuals are affected. This isn't new players are affected. It's like, find me a clip of one human being. I swear to God, I'll eat my hat on live on stream. Find me a clip of a guy unironically in that situation being like, holy cow, this is so cool. Like, you know what I mean? Find me any person, new player, veteran player, Chad, Rat, played in the alpha, plays in the beta, who enjoys that experience. Find me one. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jesse Kazam.
And I ruined the wipe.
Oh,
for
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
I ruined the wipe.
How could you? How could you?
I mean,
ruin
that's
it?
I genuinely want to know how could I have ruined the when I tweet 2.5 weeks into the wipe, I ruined the wipe for everyone.
Yeah. Ruined. I've been told I've ruined as well.
Really?
I think everybody just ruined the wipe. Yeah.
Well, I think when you download OBS,
yeah,
and you connect it with your Twitch,
yeah,
you don't have to actually hit the start streaming button at that point, or if you put TV in your Twitch name,
yeah,
or your in-game name, especially if you don't stream,
yeah,
then you are part of the problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Definitively.
Did you see the raid right before?
No, I just sat down and you were watching clips. What
I can't
happened?
Explain.
Oh.
I can't.
It was a death, I'm assuming.
It was just the worst of all possible deaths.
Yeah.
Too. And I'm just gonna get out in front and say, 100% my fault, 100% skill issue,
Yeah.
100% I
Shots
wasn't prepared.
1 to 7 clearly missed. 7 to 10.
Yeah.
Yep.
But was doing a shoreline raid, the blueberry bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, killing the scavs with the UN stuff. Managed to have one of the single digit kills I've gotten where I was like, yo, that felt good. Like,
yeah,
it just felt clean. It didn't feel like I got lucky.
Yeah.
Actually just felt good. Killed the guy. Looted him, and then shot at a guy kind of across between east and west. He ended up running away. I went to admin, looted a bunch of stuff, found a hammer. I've only found 2 hammers. Ooh. The sledgehammer. I found the first one I died to a hacker like 30 seconds after I grabbed it.
Nice.
This time I went back and grabbed it. Now I started the raid, if I remember correctly, I think I had like 100 hydration and like 80 energy. And like the trend with me is always whenever I bring in food and water, I spend the money on the food and water, bring it in, I die with it in my backpack. I never survive long enough to use it. And as most people who would give me otherwise would say, you can find food everywhere in raid, right?
Yeah.
So it's like just so I was getting pretty low, so I went through like the entire first floor of East Wing, all of admin, and at this point in the raid, because I had spent a bunch of time fighting outside before I even got to East Wing, I was out of energy. And I had just looted a bunch of stuff I needed, quest items. I had the hammer, and I think I had like a Mosin and a pistol from the guy I killed. I went through all of the first floor of East Wing, like every duffel bag, every scav pocket, every scav bag. I went through to admin. I went underneath admin, went to the food court, went through the entire first floor and like to the roof and a bunch of the duffel bags, and it's like not a single food item anywhere. Finally, I find and it's one of those plus 15 hydration, no energy.
Yep.
So it's like sick. Then I find a juice like 10 minutes later, and it's I think plus 5. Drink it. Before I make it to the end of the hallway, I'm 0 again on energy.
Yeah.
I go all the way back, and now it's to the point where I'm limping, and I'm like, I walked around for like 30 minutes, dude. There was just no food, food anywhere. Well, that's why you bring food in with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally I go back all the way back to the other side again. And there's like 5 or 6 completely juiced PMCs, all dead. None of them looted on the ground. There was a firefight. I loot every one of them. None of them have any food except for the last guy has crackers and an energy drink. So I had the crackers and the energy drink. And that lasts me about 30 seconds before I'm dying again. My stomach wasn't blacked. Like it was just walking around with a small bag full of stuff.
Yep.
And I literally died. It got to the point where there were 3 minutes left in the raid, and you can't run. I can't gain energy.
Yeah, you can't gain stamina. Out of energy is the worst. You just can't. There's nothing you can do. Hydration feels okay because your stamina gain is limited but not gone, and you take damage, so you're kind of just like whatever. But when you get 0 energy, it's just like, I'm dead now. LOL. You know what I mean? You just have to literally walk to the extract. You can't do anything else.
No, I made it to like the back. You know, like if you go out the back of admin, there's like a weird patio thing kind of thing before. I made it that far before I just like effectively just stood there.
Healed over,
let the 30-second timer run out. And and the best part, dude, was and people weren't trolling. They were like it was just Twitch chat things, right? Where it was like, have you checked admin? Check the duffel bags. Oh, hey, dude, you should eat food. You don't have energy. You know, it's like, oh, you know, and I wasn't even saying anything. I was just looking at chat like, and then someone would be like, yo, I just got here. Oh, 0 energy. Yo, you go to admin, go to the food court, go to the cafeteria, check the duffel. It's like, oh, you don't say. Oh, yeah, you know.
Yep. Go to therapist and buy some food real quick.
Oh, hell, dude. God almighty.
And that's how it is. When you don't need food, it's everywhere. When you need food and water, bro, like it's just gone.
Yep.
It's just not there.
And dude, it's so funny. There's been 3 raids in the last 72 hours where I was like legit full of like the good, a decent sized backpack full of like Salewas, IFACs, and food.
Yeah.
Like peas and like it just everything. And you just end up getting one-tapped by a scav or getting killed by a player, and it's like, just do food runs, man.
Yeah.
As if if you're gonna do a food run, nobody shoots at you anymore, right?
Yeah, just do a food run.
Like, I wouldn't need to do food runs if I could survive any other runs, you know, like normally or consistently enough. And so the last part I'll say that's like related to this, and I'm already prepared for all the people to say skill issue and give me a hard time like I'm bad at the game. I duoed or trioed actually. With what's his name? Destroyer Project? Is that his name?
Yeah, Destroyer Project. And
Clean yesterday. And you obviously me and Clean are people who are like love to talk and like get our opinions out there, and of course we were just to each other back and forth all day long. I think this, and we agreed with each other. There was one thing that we disagreed on though. There was a customs raid where we went in, and I think there were like 3 PMC kills, and I'm fairly certain I got all 3 PMC kills, covering them, like being a good teammate.
Yeah.
And I was able to loot one of the guys, and he had like a rat rig and like a mediocre AK. I'm making it up. I don't remember exactly what he had, but like not a lot of stuff, right? And I had like nothing else in my bag. And we're like halfway through, and I had juice and like some crackers or whatever, and I ate them, but the pace we were going through the raid and everything, like just walking with 1 energy, but no, sorry, not even energy, stamina. So at this point, the problem here wasn't even food and water, because I had enough food and water to last, but not to go around the map like 5 times.
Yeah.
Like following them to do all kinds of whatever things we were going to do. And they've maybe got like 10 or 15, 20 levels on strength or endurance on me. I don't know what they have at this point.
Oh yeah.
But it's like I would just be walking at 1/3 of the speed with my stamina bar at 1, and they'd just be running off, and they're like, yo, where'd you go? I'm like, I can't keep up with you. Like, it's not a skill issue that my character doesn't move fast. They're like, well, how much stuff do you got? I'm like, I got nothing, dude. I got an empty rat rig, a Salewa that I picked up, and like a mid-tier gun.
Yep.
You know. So then Clean's like, all right, let me give you this. So he gives me a stim, one of the stims, I don't know which one it is, and it gives you plus 20 to strength and endurance.
Yeah.
And it was like, endurance is just barely going up.
Yep.
And the moment they start sprinting and running away, I'm like, I can't keep up, you know? And then the stims that he gave me completely
Tank your food and water.
So now we have to spend the time to find food and water. And like the idea that like people need to throw out anything having to do with, well, I know how to go in quote unquote prepared, so it's not a problem. Throw that out the window.
Yeah.
Well, let's just grant you that you're right. It's just absurd that like you can be starving to death and dehydrating to death, and then you can eat crackers, an energy drink, and a juice, and within 5 minutes be dying again.
Yeah.
It's indefensible.
It's pretty crazy because I feel like, I don't know, sometimes it feels like once you dip below, like sometimes it feels like the difference, how long it takes for you to go from 100 to 80 hydration, that's much longer than it takes you to go from 20 to 0. It feels like once you dip below, you have to like get all the way back to 100, or you have this like debuff that's not being shown. And as long as you're under like 30, it just goes down super fast. Cause I've had that happen too, where I'm like at 0 and I find like a clutch hot rod and I'm like, okay, well, this gives me, 20 energy and 25 water. I'll be good. And then I'm like gone again. And I'm like, what do you mean? I just drank that. But I can play a whole raid, and if I get out real quick, my guy's at like 75 hydration if I go in. And so I'm like, how does that happen? It feels like once you get under, you have this crazy debuff, and it just keeps pushing you down. It's weird.
You know what? I honestly feel like that's a perfect metaphor for Tarkov, like almost as a whole, if you think about it. And this ties into the other element, which was I played with the two of them.
Yeah.
We played for 8 hours. I didn't have to buy anything for 8 hours.
Yeah.
I died 3 times to things effectively out of my control, like people I just didn't see. They grabbed my loot and they brought it back to me. Not to mention the fact that we like almost didn't see anybody. Like playing early in the day and playing with a squad is easy mode. It's 100 times easier. 100 times easier than playing solo at night. It's a completely different game.
Yeah.
So if I had done that for the first 20 levels,
for sure,
I'd have millions of rubles and a stash full of
for sure.
But the thing is that like when it's similar to like, when rich people are like, you're in crippling debt and whatever, just save your money.
Yeah.
When you're already living paycheck to paycheck, there's
like a threshold.
You can never get ahead, right? Because you're already behind. And I think it's easy for people to forget that when comparing, squad play. And of course, it's funny because the two responses to that are, well, I play solo and I'm
level 50,
or I play with squads and my friends just kill me and we kill each other and I make no money there. So it's like, everybody has different experiences. Me saying what my experience is not
doesn't invalidate anybody else's experience. Yeah.
But it just mostly comes down to the like principle of I still hate the stamina and the energy and the hydration. They're so bad. I did a video where it was like my wipe in a nutshell. Yeah. And it was just effectively like a lowlights compilation. And one of the things was spawned in on reserve, run 15 seconds, and I'm peppered.
Yep.
My arm is like blacked out, and I can't see. I'm looking in a field in front of me with some fencing, and I don't know where I'm getting shot from.
Yeah.
And my stamina is at 0.
Yeah.
15 seconds into a raid. And I'm sitting there, and I'm getting shot at, and I have to move, and I have to crouch, and kind of... So my stamina is at 0.
Yeah.
wait 30 seconds, flank all the way around. Finally, after I get some energy,
Yeah.
and my like backpack is like touching the fence, and it's killing my stamina. And then also I'm like again trying to maneuver, and there's grenades coming over, and it's like, oh well, dude, you're crouching, or this. I know
Bro,
it eats my stamina. It's not.
I'll fight you. Don't ever come, like, not you, but like the chatter. I don't ever be like, well, you crouched. It's like, because he's shooting at my head. You know what I mean? Like that, like whoever should be immediately fired from Battlestate Games and never be allowed to work in the game industry again. Whoever made that change where when you crouch it consumes stamina. Obviously I'm exaggerating, but like just the fattest L of a change I've ever seen in my life. It's the most ridiculous thing. It's I mean, like, we go through this all the time. I've actually, I didn't put it on here, but I had some ideas around this, but like, it's like we talked about last week. Like last week's podcast was like me finally like admitting that like, I don't like the early wipe. You know what I mean? Like, obviously I like early wipe fights, and you posted something on Twitter about this when you were, I didn't see the original tweet, but I saw you respond to somebody on Twitter where you were like, when I say I want more early wipe, I'm not saying I want, no juice and level 1 skills. I'm saying I want scrappy fights. You know what I mean? And so that is exactly, I love the scrappy fights of early wipe. I love the gear I'm wearing. I love the guns and how lightly modified they are. But like level 1 to 20 strength and endurance is just cheeks. It's so bad. It's so bad if you're a new player. It's bad. Like if you're a veteran, you don't like it. You just plow through it quickly. And if you're a new player, you don't like it and you can't plow through it quickly. So it's like nobody likes it. You know what I mean? Nobody likes not being able to move. So it's, and the crouching thing. Yeah. I mean, I had a few clips where like, there's so many things to worry about, right? Like I get shot. And so I'm like, I'm running. And when I'm running, I'm conscious of my stamina, right? I don't run until my stamina bar is at 0. I run until I still have some green left, right? Literally for this purpose. But so people are like, prepare more. It's like prepare more would be not running at all, because 2 shots takes you from full stam to no stam. So you can't prepare for that. That means you just never run. So I try to prepare. I always leave a little bit of stamina. So I start run, and I got unlucky, right? The game's about RNG. The game's about getting unlucky. I'm okay with that. I'm okay to accept this. As soon as I stop running, I get shot. Boom, no stamina. I maneuver myself behind a bush. I'm like, I think he's over there, but I can't do anything. So I'm just AD strafing because I can't crouch, because that'll take. So I'm waiting.
Yep.
My stam gets in the green. I'm like, okay, I should go. Okay. I think he's over here now. Waiting. As soon as he gets back into the green, I should move. And I'm like, just kill me. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I can't move. I can't do anything. I can't crouch. I can't prone, because those take my stamina. So your only option is to just kill them, like toggle on your cheats and kill them, or wait until you have stamina. And it's just like, as soon as I get stamina,
which means stand still.
Yeah. So boom, I get shot in the leg. Stamina goes again. I wait. Boom, get shot in the leg. And it's like, I can't just, because at that point I've got a heavy bleed. I've got a light bleed. I've got a blacked leg, and I don't know where the enemy is. So there is no skill, right? There's no like, oh, just shoot him, or oh, just heal. There's too many things to consider at this moment. The play is run away, unless he pushes you. And if he pushes you, you can just like, pop a morphine and swing a corner and hope for the best. But if he's going to keep his, 60-meter angle on me, I have to wait until I get stamina. So the fact that in that moment, I can, crouching removes my stamina, proning removes my stamina, taking drugs, I don't know if you know this now, taking stims consumes stamina.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's the craziest thing. And it's just like, and it's one of those things that transcends all the Twitter bullcrap. This isn't streamers are affected. This isn't veterans are affected. This isn't casuals are affected. This isn't new players are affected. It's like, find me a clip of one human being. I swear to God, I'll eat my hat live on stream. Find me a clip of a guy unironically in that situation being like, holy cow, this is so cool. Like, you know what I mean? Find me any person, new player, veteran player, Chad, Rat, played in the alpha, plays in the beta, who enjoys that experience. Find me one. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's like nobody would be mad with the ability to maneuver more. You know what I mean? In that situation. So
if you say maneuver more, that equals Halo 3, dude.
Yeah,
it's Call of Duty, Modern Warfare,
Yeah, that's a good point. When I say
there's no nuance.
There's no nuance.
Don't say.
When I say maneuver more, people assume I mean, okay, control A, delete inertia, delete the weight system. You know what I mean? Halo 3, jetpacks, advanced warfighter. That is true. When people say maneuver more, but it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And so I've been thinking a lot recently about like here's a change that I'm assuming is literally just like a text file somewhere of what these values are that could be changed in an hour by an intern. Like this, people get confused when I explain this. You'll understand it, but I want to explain it in a way that the viewers can understand it. If effectively at level 1 endurance, you have a value of 0 endurance, and at level 51 endurance, you have a value of 100 endurance, right? You either have none or 100.
Yeah, that's the min, that's the max.
I propose that we take whatever the value is at level 20 endurance, let's call that 35, and we make that level 1. And then the scale goes. So basically it goes from 35 to 100, because that is still significant. Like if you, and you're basically saying you just displayed that, where like Clean and Destroyer Project, they weren't level 51 endurance. Nobody has 51 endurance right now. They were probably level 15 endurance, and you were probably level 5. And you could tell the difference. The difference between level 20 endurance and level 51 endurance is significant. So it's not like, because the counter is, well, that would make the soft skill meaningless. No, it wouldn't. Like the difference between level 20 endurance and level 51 endurance is significant. It would still be fun to grind, and it would still give you an advantage. But it would make
I don't know,
level 1 endurance so much better.
Agreed.
So much better. And we should do the same thing for strength and endurance, because the strength soft skill is what determines your carry weight threshold. Like it starts at a certain place, and then every time you level up strength. So by if we all started with level 20 strength and 20 endurance, it would feel so much better.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. Like I don't know what they had for gear, and I don't know what they had in their backpacks. So there's so many moving parts, right? There's like, they have different gear, they have different loot, they have different skills. And then like, as soon as I took the stim, it gave me plus 20 stamina levels to stamina and plus 20 to strength, I think. Yeah. And as far as I could tell at that moment, it did nothing for me. Yeah. Like it went from not going up at all to going up an imperceivable amount, but still, when you have, I gotta tell the guys, hey guys, let me stand here for 35, 40 seconds before, like I gotta be that guy. So then everybody in chat's like, you're bad. When it's like, I've been killing everybody all raid. Yeah. Like, don't tell me I'm bad. It's not my fault that my character is a morbidly obese
but it goes
manlet.
It goes to the nuance that you talked about, where it's like, people are just so often, it's like, oh, well, if you want to change endurance, then why even have soft skills? There'd be nothing to grind for. And I'm like, you're an imbecile if you think there's nothing between what we have now and a system that's so bad that we might as well remove the skills. Like if you just
zero gravity or what we have now.
If you don't think the skills are cool and you want them removed, I can acknowledge that as a valid opinion. But if your opinion is that don't change anything, because if you do change anything, you might as well delete it, that's dumb, because there's so much in between what we have now. And that's all I'm saying. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, I'm convinced people would enjoy it. Like if I had an hour in the office, I would be like, okay, when I get shot, it doesn't take away my stamina. You know what I mean? I can't code an adrenaline effect. I only have an hour. The Band-Aid. When I get shot, it doesn't take away my stamina. When I take a stim, it doesn't take away my stamina. When I crouch, it doesn't take away my stamina. We all start at level 20 strength. We all start at level 20 endurance. When I hit a bush, instead of reducing my movement speed by 80%, it reduces my movement speed by 20%. Mm-hmm. I would just go ham. And I bet the world that people would be like, yo, it feels so much better.
Not a single person would say that change was bad.
Those bad. And the thing is that wouldn't fix a lot of the problems, but those would be band-aids that would make it so much more fun while they fix the problems, while they tweak inertia, while they tweak the weight system. Those things would just make it, you'd be able to freaking move and play the game. And the delta between, Rengar with max skills and a new player wouldn't be so crazy, but it would still be clear he had, you know what I mean? The higher, it would be the best of both worlds. It would be skills that are worth grinding for, but not so bad that you feel like absolute dog nuts as a new player.
Dude, remember when I convinced Nikita to cut the stamina burn from being shot in half? It's like half of what it used to be.
Yeah,
by the way,
which is insane.
It's if you think it's bad now, it's literally half of what it used to be, and it's still dog.
Still bad.
But you said one thing. The last thing I want to talk about, and there, I find it funny that some people are actually going to be like, well, it is unironically, it is a skill issue because it has to do with skills.
Soft skills.
I wonder there is going to be a non-zero number of people who just don't like think that's what. Oh yeah. Oh god. Okay. But so you mentioned something really good, which is, well, the whole concept of, well, just go prepared.
Yeah.
And see, here's the problem. Tarkov constantly trains me not to be prepared.
Yeah.
Because when I take all of the extra time to go through all of the extra clicks to sell the things just so I have enough money to buy the bottle of water and the peas to take with me, and to buy the helmet so that I'm prepared, and to make sure I've got all of the stims in my stim case, I'll go in, I'll run for 15 seconds, I'll hear nothing, my screen will fade to black.
Yeah.
And now all the 150,000 I just spent, like 40,000 for a helmet, 30,000 for the food and water, like all of the extra things, it was all for nothing.
Yeah.
So why am I gonna, if I don't even think I'm gonna make it to the building I'm gonna run to out of the spawn, is it really worth it when there's a good chance when I get there there'll be stuff there? It's teaching me to roll the dice and to gamble.
It's like when the Mosin came out, everybody hated the Moslings, right? Because like it felt so bad to bring in gear and just like die to the Mosling. But when you couldn't make an argument that the game was telling you to do anything different. You know what I mean? Like it was obvious the desire of the game, the intention of the game was to do something different, but like on paper, like why? I can one tap anybody I see with this thing and I only have upside, right? And so like I remember that being such a rub. And so like that's how it is right now. Where like you want to say, well, be prepared, get the water, get a thing, make sure you have enough stamina left, play slow, listen for audio. But it's like, but there is no audio and the spawns are atrocious and the scavs one tap me through the trees and this. And so I'm incentivized to bring nothing and just hope for a come up because like, and that's the same thing. And we've had this conversation specifically about moving silently, where if the only two volumes you can make are 100% volume and 0% volume, then the game is not training the players to be nuanced, to be anything in the middle. So we get all these people that get mad at the bush Wookiees, but it's like, you know what I mean? My breathing can be heard from customs when I'm on shoreline. So it's like, so why do anything else? And I say that as somebody that hates people that just sit in bushes. I'm just saying that like on some level, I'm like, I get it because they're just the two volumes. You know what I mean? So yeah.
It's, I mean, like that's always the answer to like, why didn't you do the thing? It's like, because of all of the other issues in the game made it so that like it's not always the right decision to do the quote unquote right thing.
Yes.
They put food everywhere sometimes.
Yeah.
In infinite quantities, and
it's funny because like have you heard like around all the like the ammo changes and stuff that we're going to get to, have you heard the argument, and I've heard this before outside of this context as well, but that effectively there's so many things. I think I've heard Clean say this, and I believe at one point Nikita said this to Clean, but I don't know, like, it was a long time ago. Have you heard that like the reason there's so much stuff that's purchasable on traders is because we're in a testing environment, so they want us to kind of test everything and then they'll restrict later. I'm sad they don't go through that same thought process around these other things, right? Because it feels like the Nikita and the team's vision is like, yes, movement, and there's a lot of things wrong with the game, but eventually the audio will be fixed and eventually the netcode will be better. So let's leave it how it is. But they don't do that with the economy. They're like, well, we want to test everything. So it's like, I wish they would take that approach where it's like, there are things that you guys have so much control over. And we've talked about this at length, that cheaters, netcode, sound, these are complex issues that maybe BSG is slacking on, or maybe they're trying their best, or maybe they're somewhere in between, but we don't know. But then there are these other issues that they have 100% control over. The accuracy of Scavs, the vision cone of Scavs, the accuracy of the Raiders, the movement speed we all move at, the stamina. So it's like, I'm sad they don't take that approach where it's like, well, while you're in a testing environment where you're getting the actual butt end of the game every other raid, while you're in this environment, let's at least give you this. The things that we can do in a weekend to a text file. That I just want that, you know what I mean? It's like, if you can convince me while I play the game, as the audio gets perfected and as the netcode gets better, that it is, you know what I mean, better to like dial these things back, okay, sure. But when 8 out of 10 raids, the game completely removes your experience, to then have the 2 out of 10 raids to have to put up with this other stuff, it's just so frustrating, you know what I mean?
Dude, is it an argument that because you, and by you I mean like anyone, generic you, because you are able to get around or overcome some obstacle in the game, that justifies it?
Yeah.
I like. Do you think that is like, to me it seems so evidently and so obviously nonsense, but I'm willing to hear
there's a
counter
sinkhole
argument
in the middle of the road, but don't call them to fix it. I can drive through Johnny's backyard and just get around it. Let's all just drive through Johnny's backyard and get around the sinkhole. Like, that option is right there. Why would we ever call anybody to fix this? Idiot.
Dude, I tried to make the joke earlier and I completely bombed it because I'm not going to explain why, but I mixed up Anne Frank and Helen Keller. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a pretty good one. And by that I mean a pretty bad one. But I was effectively trying to make the most absurd example, like taking it to the extreme, which is imagine tomorrow BSG goes and says, oh, okay, well, you're not going to have any sound issues anymore, and you're not going to have any frame rate issues anymore. Now the game is completely, the screen is black and there's no sound.
Yes.
Because Helen Keller, she could play it, and she enjoyed playing it.
Because Anne Frank could play it.
And I said Anne Frank. I don't know what the.
Yeah, because she can do it. So no audio, no frames.
So therefore, the fact that you don't like not being able to see or hear is irrelevant. You're just wrong, because someone else can get around that, right?
Yeah.
Can play with the tactile mouse or whatever with the DK bongos. I'm not sure what the input, what input.
Specifically the DK bongos.
What input, Anne Frank and Helen Keller playing split screen are using, but I mean, like, obviously that's just like a ridiculously tone deaf metaphor, but like just the idea that because you have the money to be able to buy the peas in the water to take in with you every raid, and even when you die, you still have the money because you did 27 Goshen runs and you sell everything because you craft everything, so that gives you enough money to have all the things, and because you do all those things, therefore there's no criticism of the feature. I'm sorry, I can be the worst player in the world and be completely unprepared,
and have valid criticism.
That still doesn't make my criticism invalid. It doesn't make the criticism. It stands on its own merit.
That's probably the deepest problem with the Tarkov community, is that, and another example of this that we've talked about a lot is the rogues. Like, a new player saying the rogues are OP instead of any of the veterans like acknowledging and being like, hey, we are veterans, we do know how to cheese them. This perspective actually might be valid because this is a new player. We go, oh, just cheese the rogues, just farm food in Goshen, just don't left side peek. You know what I mean? As if the game informs you of these things and you're the idiot for missing them, which we all know is absolutely not the case. And I think that's a really good point and a really big fracture in the community. And I actually really think, I mean, it's so funny. Anytime there's drama, I see so many people tweet about how the Tarkov community is so toxic. And it's like, take a week in any other game community subreddit. It's just humans. Like, it's not the Tarkov community, I promise you. But
no, but the Tarkov community has gotten worse as the game has gotten more popular.
But, well, of course, and that's because more people come and stuff like that. But I would say an issue is absolutely that like, instead of accepting a new player's criticism or an old player that came back's criticism as even remotely potentially valid, we just hit them with the, like, you're actually stupid because you just haven't learned how to cheese it. Come back when you're level 77 and have Kappa. And it's like, that's insane. And then the even meta-ness of that is that my theory is that most of the people levying those, like, saying that aren't even the ones who are skilled enough to do the thing they're talking about. They just watch people who are, and the people they watch actually hate it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Sheaf was like the guy. He made like 6 how to cheese the rogues guides. It's like, go talk to Sheaf about it. He's like, this is stupid. You know what I mean? He was just like spreading the information. You know what I mean? Like, when we'll talk about this in a second, but when all these ammo changes came out and everybody was, you know what I mean? I messaged a bunch of the chads, a bunch of people who, like, everybody was like, oh, this is dumb. I messaged a bunch of, like, the streamers that have these huge audiences. They're like, what do you think about the change? Give me the TLDR. Give me the TLDR. And it was like, amazing, 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 amazing. It's like, people are, it's so weird. It's so weird that the people.
I've only seen literally one person upset about the ammo changes. So the last thing I just want to summarize.
Yeah.
I don't want to die because I haven't eaten a snack in 30 minutes of game time.
Yeah.
And I want my PMC, my trained military contractor, should be able to jog for longer with more weight than I can. And I literally tried it again today. I have 110 pounds of weights in a camping backpack in my garage.
No, you don't.
I can hoist that up and I can jog around my neighborhood for longer than 20 seconds, which is what my PM.
Dude, make that like a vlog style video. Do like a fully like 3D like Tarkov thumbnail. Like, here's how to fix strength and endurance and Escape From Tarkov, and the whole video starts just like you show the 110 pounds going in, and
show
you just
my little calf muscles,
and you track it, bro, and you're like, I just ran 3/4 of a mile. You know what I mean?
I just want my PMC to be more competent than me.
Yeah,
because it's a role-playing game, and if you tell me that it's realistic, then
shut up.
I mean, yeah, you're simply out of your mind. That's all I want. In this case, I just want it to be more realistic. And in this case, more realistic is, better.
There's,
but, the game speed is 10x though, bro. So
oh my god,
that justifies it.
Yeah,
that
justifies it. It's like, then why don't I run at 10x speed, you idiot? Like,
you see the sun like the sky.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, there's realistic and good for the game, and there's realistic and bad for the game. And there's good for the game and not realistic. And there's not realistic and bad for the game. And that's when things are like, me as like a level 1 PMC, the power fantasy is supposed to be that I'm still like a private military contractor that I would imagine would be more physically fit than me. The fact that I can't run the 75 feet with an extra backpack on is bad for the game and not realistic. Realism isn't the only thing, but there are some things that hit the graph at the certain spot where it's like, who the hell defends this? Yeah.
Now we can actually talk about some of the not complete and utter dog things.
Some of the not complete and utter. I want to rip through some of the less controversial ones first. So, did you see the change they made? Okay, now I'm going to preface this whole next hour of the podcast with some of these changes are very obviously half measures, and we will talk about that. And my enjoyment of these changes isn't me saying that the changes are perfect and that I don't think anything else should be changed. But, end preface, did you see what they did to some of the keys?
That they reduced the number down to one use.
No, they did do that, which was its own thing. But that was like the machinery key, the unknown key, some of those quest keys that permanently spawn. Every raid, 100% chance those keys spawn.
I saw more people complain about that than
Yeah.
anything else, surprisingly.
Yeah. Okay, so you know how like, and it's all backwards in spaghetti code, but you know how the flea fee is determined by how much higher you place the item up for compared to its intrinsic value to the traders. So like if I was to put an Esmarch up for 1 million rubles, that's when the fee is like 2 million, because it's tied to the intrinsic value of the item, whatever you would sell the item to therapist for, or whatever the trader.
Okay. Okay.
Like 10 of the keys, they changed that value. So for instance, a marked key if you sold it to the therapist, the value was like 18,000 rubles. It is now 500,000 rubles. So now there's 75 marked keys on the flea market right now for 1 million, 1.5 million rubles. Just like the old days, just like we wanted.
So they're not for sale for like a black key card,
Correct.
And you have to just hope and pray that somebody finds like 3.
They're up for money. And the tax is relatively appropriate when listing it for that much. It doesn't cost you 2 million to list it for 1.3 million. It's awesome. It's good. I think most people, I haven't seen too many people not want the keys to be, or at least most of the keys to be back the way they were. A lot of the stuff. Now, that being said, this was done specifically to like 10 keys. It wasn't like to all the keys. So it's just a crapshoot on when you find a key, you're like, oh, this used to be a super valuable key. You know, West 301. Can I list this on the flea market? And you list for 400,000 rubles and the fee 750,000. You're like, nope. But then some other keys, like the marked key, you listen for 1.3 million. The fee might be 100,000. So it's like they did it specifically to a certain amount of keys, which is sad. But
I've got a marked room key with 1 out of 10. It's only 30,000 to therapist, unfortunately, with 1 out of 10.
Oh,
left,
really?
Yeah.
So, dude, I haven't found a marked key.
I did, and in 9 raids, I found a G26 and garbage.
Yeah.
So I wish I had put it up for black key card or whatever.
I didn't find a single marked key the entirety of last wipe as well. The whole wipe. 2,000 raids. I didn't find a single marked key. Anyways.
I mean, skill issue. I was able to find it, so I don't know why you couldn't.
in 7 raids. So, so that was a change that people were pretty excited about. Is that some of that stuff is back. Then, bro, let's talk about the scavs. I love every single one of these changes so much. So, like last week, they reduced their accuracy cone.
Did they do that more than once?
Maybe. I don't know. I only saw messages about it one time.
Okay.
They additionally, apparently, this I only heard of through a Nice Guy video, but I didn't see anything about this. They also allegedly changed what ammos they can spawn with. So like a scav could have spawned with 366 AP, which is a disgusting ammo. Like it's nuts. They can spawn sometimes with 55A1, and they can spawn sometimes with 762 BP, which is fun when you kill the scav and loot them, but very not fun when you get one tapped through your class 4 armor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I saw scavs with 8Rs with like RRLP ammo, which I was like, I've never seen an 8R scav with RRLP 556.
That's like junk, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bad. It's like probably one of the worst. So I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I didn't see any like data about that, but somebody mentioned it, and I hope that that's true. But
they should just stack their mags with random, like have it be 6 rounds of 995 and 2 rounds of 855A1, a couple rounds of 855, and the rest FMJ. Like,
yeah, that'd be interesting actually.
You'd level up your mag drill skill because you go through
every mag. Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know. I'm glad because I don't want to get shot by those scavs. Maybe if their accuracy wasn't so crazy, then it wouldn't be as big of an issue.
Still died of dehydration though, checking those mags. Spending the whole time in the raid, so never
easy.
mind.
Because that means you have to spend more time in raid. That's the opposite of the point, bro. Spending more time in raid. Jesus Christ, get out of here with that crazy thinking. Scav guns are now repairable. I repeat,
unreal, dude.
Scav guns are now repairable. That is one of the fattest W changes they've ever made to this game. And it's not even really a W, it's walking back an L. You know what I mean?
It's exactly that.
It's walking back an L.
Yep.
So yeah, so now I've seen Scav guns with a max durability of anywhere between 90 and 99. So like some you can only repair up to 90, but some you can repair up to 99, which is just so good, bro, because then it's such like a triple W. It helps everybody. They add these new skills in the game and they add the new enhancements, and the enhancements are directly related to your weapon maintenance skill, and the only way to get weapon maintenance skill is to repair guns with an armor repair kit. So now you have more guns to repair as a Chad.
Forgetting to check that. Yeah.
You have more guns to repair as a Chad if you want to min-max your skill. You have more viable guns as a new player, because you remember like you're in the OG squad of people that like did guides and stuff. One of the number one, what gun should I use early wipe? Just kill some scavs and use whatever they have. And that advice was gone for the past year and a half, 2 years. You couldn't, like, I would feel bad recommending that because you would malfunction. Like, yeah. So like that is back. If you're a new player, go kill some scavs, take their guns, repair them. Boom. Now you have a usable gun, W. And then alongside of that, have you seen the guns have attachments now, are more varied? Have you seen that at all?
I've seen a couple of like ones I haven't seen, like a base pump action shotgun, but it had like the rail on it with like a light that it normally doesn't have, and like a foregrip. It was like, oh, you wouldn't see that particular.
Or longer barrels, or bigger magazines. I spawned in as a scav with a Beretta, with a flashlight, a plate, and a Burris on it. A red dot and a flashlight laser on my Beretta as a scav. I was like, this is sick. It's so sick. So now like, oh, apparently Sniper Sav's got some new loadouts too. That's awesome. So like now killing scavs, looting scavs is more viable because you can take some of the attachments off. Just like a lot of times the PMCs, right? You go loot them, you just control click all their attachments in your bag. Well, now you want to go check the scavs. You want to see, and then it also feels like their loot was buffed as well. Well, I know it has to have been like what the random items that spawn in them. And they made this change, I think, 2 days ago. I have 2 Willer's wallets and 2 Gingy keychains in my. The literal only way to get those for the past 3 wipes was marked room and the scav case. That was it. I spawned in with a Beretta, a red dot, a flashlight, a labs card, a red flare, and a Gingy keychain. I was like,
what's your fucking karma?
2.
2.0?
Yeah. I was like, what the hell?
Damn, dog.
So
you can use a repair kit on flares.
Really?
Makes sense. Yeah, it treats flares like guns. You can like go to modding and like edit preset.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, total divergence there from the. When you repair a gun with a repair kit, where does it say which enchantment it gave you? Like Fortune 3?
Yeah. So I haven't seen a
Mining
single
5.
enchantment yet, but if you double click on, or if you right click a gun and click repair, you can see very good repairability, very low enhancement chance. So as you level up that skill, and then maybe inherently, depending on the gun, you'll see low enhancement chance, medium enhancement chance, high enhancement chance. And then,
but does it say?
I don't know where, if you did get one enhanced, I don't know where it would say that, because I haven't seen one yet.
We probably could go back to like Nikita's old
maybe
like podcast when he first showed it. Yeah, because I found a gun repair kit and have been using it. They seem like really good value.
Yeah. They were like 50K the first few days of the wipe. And then like I didn't go through one weapon repair kit last wipe. I had one early, and It's just like, because that's 1500 durability, and you're incentivized to repair your gun like every 2 raids. So you're only repairing.
Oh, is it
like
1 point of durability for the gun from the repair kit?
Yeah.
Is it 1 for 1?
Yeah.
Oh, holy.
But repairing Gen 4 takes 250 points of your armor repair kit. So that you're churning armor repair kits, but weapon repair kits, it's basically like a one and done.
I haven't seen an armor repair kit this wipe yet. Body armor repair kit, 180k. Oh, 200. Okay, 290k.
Yeah,
Woof.
they're
I
expensive.
mean, I'm sure it's worth it.
Yeah,
it's definitely like more efficient, but yeah, I'm still like hideout Andy, where as soon as I get 300k, it's like, okay, that instantly goes to buying like 2
generator 1 or
2 like toolkits to be able to upgrade.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I've heard, and somebody put this in chat, I've heard that there are people up in the like mid 30s of the weapon repair skill, because what they do is they just go to Fence and they buy a bunch of scav guns, they repair them all, and then they sell them to a mechanic. They lose money, but they're trying to farm that skill. And I've seen people that are in like the mid 30s, they still haven't seen a single enhancement. I just want to say enchantment. So I don't know if it's bugged. It wouldn't surprise me if it was bugged. But let's circle back to the W. The W is the scav changes are so sick. Weapons are repairable.
They listen to all of our,
dude.
All of our. And you know what the best part is, dude? I've had like a dozen people come in and like, yo, they listen. They took X person's advice or Y person's advice. It's like, yeah, I've never proposed that.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It was such a brain dead move that everybody was suggesting that, like, So yeah, apparently scav accuracy was reduced. They now you can repair the guns. The guns have more mods. Scavs have more loot. And it's awesome. It's just huge dubs all around. If you're a new player, go kill some scavs, loot their backpacks. You're going to find some cool stuff. Take their guns. You can repair them. You can find attachments. Sick. Good change to game.
Yeah, literally nothing bad to say about that.
Yeah.
Other than when someone said, yo, they scavs, the next scav I saw insta one-tapped me. Like from like an impossible thing. And it was like, are you sure? And then after that, I feel like they must have done it again the next day, like, or something, because that one particular day, it didn't seem like it. But the last few days I've been playing, haven't gotten killed by any scavs, and they've been perfectly reasonable.
They might have, because someone actually brought up a good point, is that like in the original kind of like conversation about when they got nerfed, it was specifically listed as like with fully automatic weapons. So maybe they just brought that same change to like not fully automatic, because it's like the SKS guy can just like ice you from 9 million years away. So maybe, I do feel like these past few days the scavs have been much better. Could be completely anecdotal. I'm very aware of that. I play in squads. It's harder. You know what I mean? I'm very aware of that. Could be anecdotal.
They still see you through bushes a little bit more than they should, but not as much as they did.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the wipe, which was infinitely like as if they weren't there.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
But yeah.
All right. So now we get to the changes that were made to the ammo specifically, but also just like the traders in general. So we can basically just like riff through. I went through all the tweets I could find. I went through all the stuff I could find. And so correct me if I'm wrong on any of these, but the Voodoo and the Razor are removed from Jaeger, and you can't buy them from Jaeger anymore. There were a lot of Ragman things done. You can't purchase the Gazelle for cash money anymore. You can still barter for it like you could before. The Rat Rig went from about 50,000 rubles to 70,000 rubles in price at level 2 or 3 Ragman. The Risty and the Alton purchase barters are now gone. So I guess we'll do this stuff first, then we'll talk ammo. So that's like gear. What do you think about that?
I'm for, like, I don't have any problem for any of those. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, it literally has no effect on me or most people for a little bit further into the wipe.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those things are just like level 3, level 4 traders when a lot of people still don't have level 3 and level 4.
I don't have level 4 Ragman, so I don't.
I've seen one Voodoo all wipe. I haven't seen a Vortex, and haven't been seeing. I had a Gen 4 once. The guy was rocking a Gen 4. I think not that it's a bad thing. I just think it kind of doesn't do anything to like removing a cash trade and making it a barter. All you've done, in my opinion, is just add more clicks.
Yeah.
Because you can still buy the things from the flea market. It's effectively a cash thing. It's just now it's 3 purchases rather than 1.
Yes, and I would agree with that if they changed it from a cash purchase to a barter. But the barter was always there, and we had a cash purchase, and they removed the cash purchase, which
was there like a limit of 3 and 3 or 1 and 1? Or
I think 1 and 1, maybe 3 and 3. So suffice it to say, it definitely did reduce the amount because if you could buy 2 and barter for 2, you can get 4 every 3 hours. Well, now you can only get 2 every 3 hours. So it might force you, if you have some bad raids, it might force you into some other armors. So I would definitely agree it would be meaningless if they just trained from one to the other. I actually don't know how many you could buy and how many you can barter for and how many you can barter for now versus what it was. Somebody in chat might be able to.
Yeah.
Actually, I freaking have the game pulled up. I'm so stupid. I don't remember how many you could buy, but you can barter for 3 per reset. Yeah. So I think that would probably means you could buy 3 and you could barter for 3. So it definitely reduces the amount, but I agree with you that it's like making something a barter isn't an instant fix. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, like people are saying like it adds value to those other things. It's like, cool. You just arbitrarily added value to some of the other junk. Fine. Like, I mean, to me, that's not like, it's a net 0. It's not, who cares if the wires are worth 20K or you find 20K cash? Like, it's all the same. You know what I mean? Like,
but they definitely did reduce the amount that you can get in a thing. I do think, like we said at the beginning, some of these are half measures. I made an entire video, a full 18-minute video specifically about the voodoo and the razor. And like, I want them gone from the traders and the flea market. The thing is they removed them from traders and not the flea market. So in my opinion, the issue with the voodoos and razors got slightly worse, not better, by removing them from the traders, but not removing them from the flea market, because it was like the people who never got to that level of Jaeger and the people who did. And if you did, you could buy them whenever you wanted for 40,000 rubles. And if you didn't, you never got to use them. Well, now instead of their 40,000 rubles, they're 120. So now it's like more people can't use them, but the guys at the top it's still 120,000 rubles is nothing for the value that a voodoo adds to your raid. So like,
and now if you get it, you're excited. if you find it in raid, you're excited. Like, you would be excited, except now you have to make the choice.
Yes.
Do I get a bunch of money or do I use it?
Yeah.
And I really just wish the game was use it.
Yeah, exactly.
So ban them from the flea market and make them spawn in like Kiba on the wall everywhere, every time. Make them spawn in weapon crates a little bit more.
Yeah. So that's definitely something where I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't want to say, put them back on the flea, make them 7.5 rubles because you tried it the other way and it sucked. No. It touches a lot of things. I think they should be removed from the flea market, and that opens up a whole spider web where it was like the Schmittenbender 1-8. Nobody used that because the sensitivity was scuffed compared to the voodoo and the razor. They fixed that, and that's still on Jaeger. So for 40,000 rubles now, you can get a pristine 1-8 instead of your 1-6. That problem still remains. If you want a voodoo and a razor and you're a Chad, that's fine. It's just 40,000 more rubles now. That problem still remains. So it's like, it definitely gets into the weeds of like, if they want to do that, they have to, that's a change you need to kind of full commit on to see a change. If you want scopes to not be in the game for the same reasons I want, if you want scopes to be less prevalent for the same reasons that I do, you got to hard commit. You got to ban them all from the traders, maybe like the TAC 30 barter, keep that or whatever. You got to remove them from the fleet. You got to put them in the raid as findable. I found like 4 voodoos so far this wipe in raid. I haven't bought one yet. Like, they spawn. Seal killed a sniper scav. He had an SV98 with a voodoo on it. He left the SV. He took the voodoo. I was like, that's kind of cool. So like, but without full committing, the problem kind of gets worse, not better. But it's a step in the right direction. So I don't know how to feel about that because like, I don't want to, it's so hard. If I say I like it, then people go, well, I'm just never going to use one now. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're kind of right. But when I say I like it, I mean, I like the direction we're heading and I hope they keep going. I don't necessarily like, So that one's a little interesting. At first, I was like rejoicing, but then I was like, wait, they're still on the flea. Oh, the Schmidt and Bender's only 40,000 or whatever it is, and I was like,
Yeah, no, Denny's just added a veteran discount. You get 5 cents off of your meals. It's like, I'm not gonna. It's good.
Exactly.
It's a good thing.
Exactly.
But like, you could probably be at least a couple dollars. You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I'm always torn because it's the right idea, but at the same time, I just can't help. This isn't me being a negative Nancy. I can't help but not conclude. I don't know that they understand what we were asking for.
Yeah.
Because if they did, they would know. They would know that like it didn't solve.
Yeah.
It wasn't what we wanted.
Did you just hear the desire, or did you hear why we had that desire? You know what I mean? Did you hear, oh, just ban this for the flea? Okay. Or why? Because of, and it's not even spaghetti code. It's just spaghetti. It's just spaghetti. It's just mom's spaghetti. There's too many attachments. There's too many guns. It's not even that their code is bad. It's just like, this affects so many things. You know what I mean? Like let's say, and I talked about this in the video, let's say all LPVOs are gone and gone from the flea. So TAC 30, TAC 30, Voodoo, Razor, Schmidt and Bender, all gone from the flea and gone from the traders. It's like, you can't just stop there, because then, hammer stonks skyrocket. So you have to at least go to the hammer and go, well, what's the price? What's the level? Is it a barter? Like it affects the whole thing. And I feel like they're afraid to go in and get that deep and like change everything. But then this doesn't really work unless you go that deep, because it's not going to change too much. Like for me, I'm going to use the Voodoo and the Razor just as much.
Yeah, no, I just had kind of an epiphany. And I don't even know. I'm trying to remember with someone I was like arguing with on stream yesterday or the day before, and I'm trying to remember like, was this what he was trying to say, but he was really bad at saying it, or I don't know, maybe not. But this change, you know how we also, sorry, I'm having like a stroke here. That very often we talk about the changes that we want and how the casuals, they say I'm a casual and you want to hurt the casuals when we want to like reduce the availability of things.
Yeah.
And we try to say, well, no, because if they do the change that we want, it actually helps them.
Yeah.
But they just don't realize it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. What they actually did, I think, is the opposite in a way, in that like it's actually what they were afraid of potentially.
Okay.
Which is to say, now we're back in the state where they aren't going to find them very often, and when they do, they're more incentivized to sell them, not to use them.
Specifically,
but then what you have is an infinite supply on the flea market for massive amounts of money, which means the chads that it still gatekeeps the items.
Yes.
Like the rich people always, and who have progressed faster, have an infinite supply of the things, and the people down below don't. They might have more cash, but they don't. So, but if they remove it from the flea and then put it in the raid, and they put it on scavs and in boxes, everybody has equal chances of getting it, and you can put the Voodoo in your protector case if you really want to make it out, and if you die, you can use it. So,
no, I completely agree, and that's why I said at the beginning, like it was a well-intentioned change, or at least I'm assuming the intention was good, that it actually made it worse. I completely agree. You're right. The rarer something is, as long as it's sellable on the flea market, the higher the value of it is on the flea market. And the higher the value something is, the less incentivized a casual player is to use it. Because how often am I going to find an item that's worth 180, 200,000 rubles? I could use that rubles for my hideout. I could use that. That's a armor. That's a this. How good could this scope be?
That's a toolkit for my upgrade.
But to a Chad, 180,000 rubles is nothing, especially for the combat value that those things provide. And you're absolutely right. It's just like the back in the day with the flea. It was like everything was so valuable on the flea because you could sell everything that a new player wasn't incentivized at all to use a slick or a Gen 4. They were incentivized to sell it so they could use something that they felt more comfortable with, or just have money for the hideout or something. And so my hope is that temporarily it made it worse, but that they continue down this road. They have been making these changes like almost daily, so it's weird. And then also somebody said this, and this was right. This wasn't the other day when they removed the Voodoo and the Razor from Jaeger. You could still buy the Schmidt and Bender 1.8. You can't right now. Somebody was like, I'm pretty sure they removed that, and I went to go look at Jaeger to be like, no, it's still there, buddy, and it's gone. So they're continually making changes. So I definitely agree. It does the opposite. It gatekeeps more, not less. And you have to full commit and take it off the flea.
And there's a critical mass of like global supply that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Like there's only ever been two like quantities of items.
Yeah.
In the game. There's enough that there's always multiple pages for sale.
Yeah.
At any time, or there's less than 3. There's nothing in between, right? Like, which I can understand would be challenging, right? Like if you have 1 million players and there's thousands of raids at any given time, it's really hard. Like, well, if you make it a 1% spawn chance, then like nobody's gonna find it, but there's gonna be like one ever on the flea. But then if you make it a 50% spawn chance, well, now everybody walks out with one, and there's an infinite supply on the flea market, which means that removing it from traders did nothing.
Yes.
So this is where it just comes down to. They could make it so that you could sell it on the flea, but then they have to completely change the amount that it was in raid to the point where there should only be like 1 or 2 ever in the market, you know?
Yeah.
Unless, in which case it's going to be like, at that point, it's like finding a key card.
Exactly.
You know, like it's going to be 500,000 and it's going to be like cash money.
Yeah.
But I still think that's even worse. I would rather it be no cash value and everything should just have utility value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is the way that it used to be back in the day because there was no flea. So you found something and you're like, bang, I'm either going to use it. And if you don't want to use it, you sell it to the traders. And if you can't sell it to the traders, you sell it to Fence. Yep. And I don't know if did you ever play where sometimes you'd sit at Fence for 15 minutes and wait for something you were looking for?
Some poor bloke, found something you were looking for and decided he wanted the 70,000 rubles more. So he sells it to Fence and you just scoop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they quadrupled how much you buy stuff from Fence for. And so there's like juice boxes for 60,000 rubles. And you're like, what the hell?
Dog, I will say, though, that the one change I noticed in the last 24 hours that I am like, I feel a little bit more defeated now, especially because of the revelation I just came to, which was the rat rig. You can only get 1 per restock, and it's 70K.
Yeah.
Well, now
weird.
Like that was my minimum, like budget kit. Now I'm just not gonna wear armor.
Yeah. No.
I'm either gonna wear level 5 or 6 armor, or I'm not gonna wear armor because I'm not gonna spend 70K on one, and then have to wait 3 hours to be able to buy another one. I'll just.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this, once again, it comes into a thing where it's like a lot of these changes seem to be moving in the right direction and have the right intention, but some of them still definitely seem weird. It still seems weird to me that like I can barter for 3 gazelles per reset. Like you just buy the, the gold chains and the coffee, but 1 rat rig per reset, like that seems crazy. And if he's just specifically pissed that armor specifically is being used, well then make the barter for the MMAC better and the Strandhog better, because those are expensive barters. They're class 4 rigs too. That'd be cool. Yeah. So if there were 4 or 5 different budget-friendly options in the class 4 armor range, it wouldn't be as big of a deal that now you can only buy 1 rat rig. But like,
you can barter a teapot and 3 chains, which is 35,000 plus 35,000. So it's 70,000 again, right? Like,
yeah. So I agree. I was a little confused about that too. You can find both of those class 4 rigs a ton on Scavs, but once again, then we go down the spaghetti rabbit hole of, I can find them on Scavs, and if I have a freaking juice box on me, I can't walk or run if I pick up that other person. If I have armor and I pick up their armor, then I am basically rendered inert. So
I go in naked and one tap the first scav I find. man, oh my God, there's a universe in which, and I don't think this is going to happen, but there's a universe in which these changes lead to hatchlings again.
Yeah.
Because now the scavs are
Yeah.
dumb, but they have good stuff that you can use.
Yeah.
And all the other stuff is expensive. So now you go in with a hatchet and you run in, you hatchet the dumbass scav in the face, and you take his level 4 armor and a rifle.
Yeah.
Oh no, dude, no.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Now what? No. Now, once again, the thing that I would like to see, because part of the ammo conversation here, part of the ammo conversation we're about to have, is that I would like to see.
Delete that from the video. Delete that from the podcast. Cut it out. Edit it.
We're about to go into the ammo conversation, and something I'd like to see as a part of that is that like maybe class 3 armors and class 4 armors are a little bit more useful. And if that's the case, well then, because like as it stands today, there is only one budget armor available from the traders, and it's the rat rig, right? Like class 3 armors aren't really considered by many players. Like you can buy a Karasa for 60,000 rubles. You can buy a class 3 armor for 50,000 rubles. You can buy, so it's like, there are other budget options, but traditionally, because of the ammo availability, none of those other options were effective. So in a universe where, and I'm not saying that we're there, I'm just saying that
Swordens and Ps, much infinitely better investment than level 3 armor.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, I don't like that though.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah. So I agree. So once again, I agree. I think that's a little weird. The only other thing with the gear is like a lot of people are freaking out about like the wrist T and the Alton. They weren't purchasable before. They were barterable before, which means they were purchasable because you would just purchase everything on the flea market. And specifically people were saying,
what was the change that they made?
You can't barter for them from Ragman anymore. So
they just straight up reduced the availability of those.
Yeah, to 0. You can't, and they've been banned on the flea for several wipes now. You cannot get Altons or wrist Ts anymore.
Oh, so what do you find them
Dunzo.
in?
The wrist T, as it stands, does not appear, or at least didn't appear in the loot pools at all. I think some people are saying they're starting to find them in stashes, but people were freaking out because they were like, now you can't get wrist Ts because like you just like can't get wrist Ts at all.
I mean, I don't think they should remove wrist Ts, but I mean, there's worse things that have been done. Like,
no, I agree. But
I found one slick and I sold it to Ragman because I'm not gonna wear it.
I got a slick as a quest reward and I sold it to Ragman. It was like 300,000 rubles, dude. I was like, hell yeah, I can use this for my hideout. Anyway, so people are saying they found them in stashes. I think that's good. People were freaking out about that. I think, once again, this is an opportunity to continue down this rabbit hole on like, so the only way I know of to find Altons reliably is farm Reshala, like, because they can spawn sometimes on the Reshala guards, which farming Reshala is a joke right now because they only spawn at 5% chance. This is another opportunity for them to like put some of that other contextual stuff where like, I think it'd be cool for them to be spawn on like boss guards more. Like Gluhar has like 7 minions. Like they should spawn maybe super rarely sometimes with a wrist T and an Alton. You know what else would be sick? You know what else would be a great place to find an Alton, Veritas? On the mannequin in freaking Kiba. You know what I mean? Like that would be a sick place to find an Alton or a wrist T with a visor. That would be dope. That room sucks wiener, bro. And so,
dude, remember when Gazelle? You could find a Gazelle, and an SV98. No, in
yes,
brutal.
In generic.
Generic. There's the mannequin, and that was like the place to find the Gazelle.
Sick, dude. Yeah.
I love those static spawns.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that would be sick. So it's like a lot of the that was a change specifically. A lot of the Giga Chads were like frustrated about, and I hate wearing Altons. I hate wearing wrist Ts. If I had 7 billion rubles in my account, I wouldn't do it. I hate them so much. But I can empathize with the fact that, like, if you're the best at the game, you want to at least have some way to get the best stuff. And when they, like, removed that, it was like, well, where the hell? You know what I mean? So, like, I'm okay if they buff the spawn and ground stashes by a few %. I'm okay if they place these items, these endgame items, contextually in the world, on boss guards, on freaking Kibba. You know why? Because once again, everybody has access to it then. You could find it in a ground stash. If you found a Kibba key early wipe, you might find the wrist tee and use it. You know what I mean? So I know people were freaking out about that. And so this was one of those things where it's like, I liked this change, but with an asterisk. Like, I do also hope that they put these things contextually in the game world. You know what I mean? And if not, I would say this change is incomplete. If they do that, then this change is a good change. You know what I mean? So it's...
I'd be really happy if, like, they make a change. The whole like dev cycle and community interaction and all this stuff is amazing. If they make a change, they quickly hear a bunch of valid critiques, and then they adjust and tweak and adjust and tweak. I really hope that we can keep this up, because they've made a bunch of changes, and then they've made a few other changes on top of some of the other changes. What's gonna be really depressing is I hope they just don't fall into the pattern that they have before, which is make a bunch of changes that everybody's like, this is good, it's a step in the right direction, do more, and then nothing happens for 2 years.
Flatlines, and then and
you're
then
stuck with weird.
And anybody who thought those were good changes is now crucified, because it was like, no, I said it was a good direction. I said it was a good thing. If they do this, they never did the thing. Now I'm the guy. It's like Steam Audio, right? we were like, Steam Audio is going to be the best, but it was incomplete. And so we were like, I told you Steam Audio sucks. And now we're like, you miss Steam Audio, don't you? I completely agree.
Now everybody loves Steam Audio.
Everybody loves Steam Audio, bro.
Everybody loved it, and they always loved it.
Yeah.
They always loved it. Nobody ever had any problems with Steam Audio.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to like delay the conversation about the ammo, but I was trying to figure out a good place to talk about this, and somebody brought it up in chat. And the question was, why grind max traders if you can't get the best-ish stuff? And this is a very good question. This is a good thing. I've been DMing Axel. Axel has been the only one that I've seen on Twitter who really is vocally against a lot of these changes. Like he's like I hate all this. And I don't have to argue with Axel to understand why and respect his opinion. And here's the rant I've been going on stream. It's a normal video game experience to start, work your way up, grind, get access to things, and have access to those things forever. That's the classic video game experience. That's like an MMO. You don't ever lose your gear. And even arena shooters, Call of Duty, right? Once you get to level 55, you have access to the RPK, whatever, not forever. Once you get the RPK to level 50, you have access to the best attachments forever. That's a very normal video game experience. And if that's what you want, that is not a wrong opinion. But what I want to say is that I believe the core and most important differentiator that makes Tarkov what it is, one of many things, but at the core of it is loss. It's that I can lose stuff, and that's what makes things stressful. In my opinion, unlimited and infinite access to the best things completely negates that. There is no loss if I can run the exact gun and the exact armor and the exact ammo every raid. Then that loss is meaningless. Yep. So I would say that the value of grinding Tarkov, the value of that is experience. Think about DayZ. No matter how good you are at DayZ, what happens when you die? You spawn with nothing on the beach.
Yep.
Well, why grind DayZ? Dude, tell me there aren't a community of people that grinded DayZ.
Dude, I've been level 99 DayZ, dude. Yeah. Oh, man.
And they do it because now they have knowledge. They know the map. They know where the loot is. They know where this is. They know where that is. And they can be better. Rust is a similar thing. So other games where loss plays a factor, the drive to, and DayZ and Rust are games people have tens of thousands of hours in. And the core, and so it's like when people say, well, what am I going to grind for if I don't have max traders? Like ask a Rust player, ask a DayZ player. Experience is what wins a lot of times. And so I would say that's a tangent on Rust or DayZ. So I would say that for Tarkov, if loss is to be a part of the game, then there can't ever be infinite and instant access to the best stuff 24/7, really to anyone. And that doesn't mean you're wrong if you want it. Like, I didn't have to freaking DM Axel and be like, you're so stupid. Like
Yeah.
the thing is there are people on Twitter. Here's the line. There are people on Twitter that they say, I want X, and they don't realize that that's what Battlestate Games did. It's everything you and me have talked about, where it's like, I want to help the casual players and hurt the chads, and they're like this, and they're like, no. And it's like, you don't understand this is exactly what's going to happen. That's frustrating, and that's when I'm like, I get argumentative, and I want to argue with those people. But somebody like Axel just saying, I just fundamentally, I've heard him talk, somebody asked him, I was in his stream one day, and somebody asked him, like, what's your favorite part of the wipe? And he was like, end wipe. And people are like, oh, that's interesting. Everybody says they love early wipe. He's like, no, I love end wipe. I love having the best stuff, and I love fighting people with the best stuff. And then if I'm better, I win. If they're better, they win. If the game's in a good state. And I heard that from him, and I was like, I could never say that's a wrong opinion. If you want that out of Tarkov, then you're frustrated with these changes, and that's fine. It's just, that's just a fundamental difference. If you're complaining on Twitter like a lot of people are, it's probably because you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what these changes are. But if you just want something different, that's fine. So that's where I'm at. It's, once again, there's no nuance. We took 2 scopes, 6 ammos, and an armor off the traders, and people go, well, now there's no reason to grind. As if those were the only 11 items on the traders.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I don't know. It's almost like, was the reason why you grinded to level 50 to unlock BP?
Yeah.
Like, was it the one item? So I wonder, would they be okay if they removed everything else other than 995 and BP?
Exactly. If we removed all the other gear but left the Gazelle Barter and the Vortex and the Voodoo, would you have been fine? Like,
yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I can empathize completely with Axel, honestly, because all of my best moments and like my best, when I think back to the best eras of Tarkov, they were me running and gunning with the best stuff.
Yeah.
As soon as I died, I already had an item case full of all the things, and I grab it and get back into a raid. And see, that, I think I enjoy the game the best then. The problem is that can't go forever and it gets boring.
Yes.
And I'm not one of the people that, you know, will say it's boring, therefore change everything. No. But I'll probably want to go play something else.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Don't tell me you've never done this. Maybe Age of Empires is too old for a lot of the Gen Z, but everybody freaking typed in the cheat codes to Age of Empires, the insta builds, the whatever. And it's like you build up your whole thing in 3 seconds. You stomp all the AI on the map in 10 minutes, and you rip a new one, and you rip a new one, and you rip a new one. And it's not fun. It's boring, right? Like when you have infinite and unlimited access to things in an environment like Tarkov, I would agree that I submit that it would ultimately get boring when it's competing with other systems. In a vacuum, I don't think that's boring. That's what a Call of Duty is. That's what hopefully the arena is going to be, right? Where in a vacuum, where it's just skill. It's just mother flipping skill. You have the good stuff. If you're good, you get the better stuff. You have the best stuff. You fight other people with the best stuff, and it's just skill. But Tarkov has too many competing systems between the RNG of the bosses and the AI, the RNG of item spawns, the RNG of where you spawn, the RNG of what you need. So many of the quests have all this RNG. So this concept of unlimited and infinite access to the best stuff feels like it competes. And like you said, it feels like it can't go on forever. So I'm very excited for the arena. I hope they hit it out of the park, and I hope that that's where it's going to be. And I say again, if you dislike these changes, not as a whiny baby that doesn't understand them, if you dislike these changes because that is the experience you want out of Tarkov, you're not wrong. It just doesn't seem to be the direction that they're taking Tarkov. And just because we like the changes doesn't mean we're the sole reason for them and it's our fault. You know what I mean? Like, if you've been paying attention to Tarkov for any amount of time, then you would know that Nikita has been saying this stuff for forever, that the game's going to get harder. It's going to get more squad focused. It's going to get more RNG. This is not because any one of us said anything. This is what he's been saying for forever. So yeah, I think it's not wrong to think that. And the people who I've seen have had measured responses and saying like, I don't like these changes, I get. But I also, going back to the original comment, I don't think that immediately completely invalidates a reason to play Tarkov and grind just because I can't 4 ammos and 2 scopes. You know what I mean?
And the other element that like makes it so that I don't even want to engage in these conversations it's because it's all futile, and every one of our opinions and our experience and our history and the ideas that we have are all predicated on a very specific, arbitrary, unfinished, current set, like a whole gameplay loop that isn't what the game is. It's not what the game's going to be. So like at some point if we could fast forward, if we had a time machine and we could go to 1.0.1 comes out, none of our ideas and opinions and experience is going to be as relevant as we think.
Yeah.
If there's an open world and an entirely new system of rating and all of these things. So it's like, how much do we really want to argue about the number of rat rigs that are available?
Yeah.
I almost want to just say it's all a giant waste of time going back and forth with BSG about the minutia of the game right now when literally everything is going to be different.
Yeah.
And that's when I feel tired and defeated and I just get grumpy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I want to have these discussions and I want to try to come up with ideas and I want to make informed decisions and I want to, but it's like trying to plan like what's the best way to figure out how to have like a democracy in the United States, when if you like the goal is to have like a Mars colony with like interstellar alien communications, like do we think that like the tax rate matters now when you can teleport to Mars? It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter anymore. So it just all feels like a giant waste of time.
I get that, and I definitely feel that way sometimes as well, where it's just like, why even have ideas? Why even try to tweak and make things better? I think there's like levels of that where the conversation we had earlier about like endurance and strength and walking through bushes. Like I feel like those are changes that could be made in 10 minutes that would have a dramatic effect on everybody's experience immediately. But then when we get into the minutia of like, sometimes I catch myself, because sometimes you want to talk to a viewer and be like, yo, you're thinking way too deep about this. Sometimes I catch myself like, well, they should remove this from Flea and then this and then that and then this and then that. And I'm like, this is way too much thinking when like proper could just be in raid in 8 months and then the whole thing would be completely different. So I catch myself doing that too.
Which is why back in the day I proposed like we want Scavs to be amazing, but right now they're dog and overpowered. So just make them dog. And when it comes to aim, dog, not just design and like immersion. And then work on them because it's what's good in the interim. Which I hate to say it, but now like I feel like my logical conclusion is like unlock everything, maximize everything, give everyone infinite money, and let everybody be. I mean, honestly, it's like, oh man, because then you get like, that's how you would see like what is the meta, what's the best thing. You give everyone infinite stuff, and then give them 2 months to play, and then look at what most people are using, and it's like we should probably nerf that, like.
You'd think they do that, but for 4 wipes, it was a mutant with 762 PP, and it just now got taken off the trader.
No, I don't know. Like, again, I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying, like, if we're trying to use this as a period to inform things to do in the future, then we have to keep that in mind.
That's
but people think that the game is 98% done and we need to tweak these and tweak this and just like we're gonna get like, oh, the game will be finished when BP has 2 less pen and 1 more damage. It's like they're gonna have a new armor system, probably a new healing system, a new health system, a new quest system. Us talking about the like too many level 4 armors in the early wipe when there's no wipes and a new armor system. This is all literally, we're fighting and we're debating over something that's relevant for the next 2 weeks, and it's no longer relevant after that because everything will be different.
Relatively, no, I mean, I definitely think, listen, and
Tarkov nihilist.
And and that's the thing is like, that doesn't mean I'll continue to debate these things and talk about them and have fun, but there is definitely an aspect of truth to what you're saying. Like, sometimes it's like, we don't have to go too deep when we know these systems are changing. I don't know. I just want to
hope that the feedback and the criticisms that we give them now, they keep in mind for the future, right? Like with the new quests, like Nikita's like, oh, don't worry, we're going to be doing totally new quests. It's like, but are they going to be like the Mad Libs we have now? Or are they going to be something completely different that we've never seen before?
Yeah.
Well, if they're going to be something completely different than we've never seen before, then the 4 years of us giving them feedback on their quest system, is that relevant?
Yeah.
We've
I
been
suppose
testing a chicken dish for 5 years, and then all of a sudden Nikita busts out a
they're
fish
like,
dish.
oh, but it was always going to be steak. And it was like, wait.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But it just depends. It's not like, because if the chicken dish is still in the game, then it would be valuable to some extent. If all these side quests are still in the game, then it's like, please change
And if
them.
they learned too much salt ruins the chicken dish, well, then they know a little bit more about how much salt to put on the fish dish or the steak dish. But
I get what you're saying.
But in order to do that, you need to understand the nuance of the problems, and they've consistently shown that they don't understand the nuance of the problems, you know? Oh man, I mean, like, people are gonna yell at me for complaining, but they'll be thanking someone else when the game is the best game it can be, because of someone else's idea that they agreed with me in the last year of me yelling for 3 years when everyone told me I was wrong.
Yeah.
So there you go. You're welcome.
You're welcome, future. No.
Just like Steam Audio and binaural.
So I just wanted to go on that little complete diatribe there just to say, once again, whether you agree with my opinion or not, which is totally fine if you don't, these changes don't completely invalidate any reason to play this game. And if you want something other than what Nikita and the team want out of this game, that doesn't make you wrong. It just means you might not like some of the future changes, and maybe Arena will be great. So now we can move on to what the most dramatic part of this whole thing has been, which is like what changes have been done to the ammo. So, and some of this could have been changed. I just went through some tweets and stuff like that to try and get it. And there might've been additional things that I missed, but we can rip through it. M80, M62, 45 AP were moved to Peacekeeper 4 from Peacekeeper 3. M61, M995, PS12B, 762 BP, and the Shrimp, the 9x21 BT, were all removed from the traders completely. 55A1 was removed from Skier, but still is purchasable at Peacekeeper. Impact grenades were removed from the traders. PS12B, M80, and 9x21 BT are banned from the Flea. And then they added new crafts. These ammos were previously uncraftable. Now you can craft SS190, M80, 300 Blackout AP, and 9x21 BT. They also went back and changed the times of how long it takes to craft some of the other ammos. So for instance, 762 BP, last wipe I crafted probably close to 10,000 rounds of 762 BP. It took about 8 hours to craft 120 rounds, and now takes like 14 or 15 hours to craft 120 rounds. So ammo changes. What do you think? There's lots of opinions, obviously.
I think conceptually, good idea.
Yeah.
It's completely and utterly irrelevant right now. I only died at 855 to the face one tap.
Yeah.
The irony is that the first day after they made this change was the one and only time I died to 762 BP. Like 2 minutes after I monologued about how I haven't seen the round. So it's,
then you died to 762 BP.
But then after that, look through the VOD today. Yeah. It's just been me spawn in with my UN stuff on Shoreline, run for a little bit. My screen fades to black. I don't hear a gunshot, and it's a single shot from an EOD account
from
to
like
the face with
LPS
855.
or 855 or 45 FMJ. That's all stuff I died to. Yeah.
855 has been the one, and it's actually a totally viable, totally decent ammo.
I've used more 556 in the first 2 weeks of this wipe than any other wipe previously.
Yeah. Now a lot of that is because PS 762 was removed from level 1, but but I mean, overall, I think it's good. I think it's one of those things that is good in principle. Right now, it's completely irrelevant, and it could be massive mid to late wipe. It could be irrelevant mid to late wipe. It all depends on the quantity available. If you can farm rogues and get 300-400 rounds of it every raid if you want, if you're one of those, well, then it's completely irrelevant.
Yeah, you're right.
So we'll see.
And that's why, I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that assessment. where it's, once again, it seems like we're headed in a good direction. There's so many ammos and so many armors. It's hard to like firm say this is going to fix all the issues. I definitely would put my stamp on, I think this is heading in the right direction. It doesn't mean that there will be no meta ammo this wipe. Absolutely not. That's not what anyone has ever really said. And like you said, it also depends on some of the other things. If you could still farm BP from the Raiders, that's why I was intrigued and excited that they added new crafts and adjusted some of the other crafts, because that at least convinced me that they were thinking about it at least a little bit more broadly than they normally do and not so narrow, right? They put M80 at level 4 Peacekeeper, and people, it's like you killed their dogs. People were so pissed. But you can get level 2 Workbench before you can get level 3 Peacekeeper, and it was at level 3 Peacekeeper. So
which ammo again? Say that one more time. M80, yeah.
So now
BCP,
there's
though, is big. It's been buffed,
dude. Yeah, yeah.
It's the new M80. That's the thing.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Is that like, was it buffed? I didn't even know if it was buffed.
I don't know if it was buffed. I just know that there was never any reason to use anything other than M80.
Yeah.
And I was actually kind of annoyed at the lack of M80 until I looked at BCP or BPZ or whatever the BC. It's like got pretty dope stats.
Yeah.
So
TCW has 34 pen and 67 damage, and BCP has 31 pen and 88 damage, which is a one tap to the chest if they're unarmored or if they have. Anyways. The point I was trying to make is, whether you love it or you hate it, or whether the craft is good or bad, at least they were thinking a little bit broader and like made a craft for it. And that craft is accessible earlier if you get up your workbench, which isn't terribly hard to do, earlier than level 3 Peacekeeper. So the access to it is, you know what I mean? Now I did the craft, and it's like not amazing, and you only get 80 rounds out of it or whatever, but it was like, yeah, people just like, we've talked about this so many times that like I'll die on this hill that like in a world where there was no audio issues, where the netcode was perfect, where the scavs were fine, and if you take 10 deaths where you were running BCP over M80, not over M61, M80 or BCP, of those 10 deaths, 8 of them were probably because you were out of position, or there was more of them than you thought. You know what I mean? It's like we get so hung up on this. And so I don't know, everybody lost their goddamn mind over M80 being moved. I'll gladly use BCP and C. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying it's going to feel like cheeks to shoot somebody in the head and they don't die if they have a class 4 helmet and I've got BCP and I have to shoot them 3 times with a 308 gun. Yeah, whatever. But I'm not stamping these changes as perfect and complete. We might need to adjust the barters. We might need to adjust the craft. We might need to adjust that stuff, but it was just like, it is not the end of the god dang world. Like, you can kill
what is,
people with guns and bullets in this game. Oh my god.
Unless you're on the pistol quest, have a Beretta and only have PSO. Because that dude, PST has like 9 mil is so garbage and has been for so long. Before it was only AP was like the only thing worth using.
Yeah.
Like PST wasn't worth, and then they make it so that you can't get PST forever. I've got so many clips of me. I've got one clip where I bounced 8 bullets off of a level 3 helmet. 8 bullets. My pistol is going bang, 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 bang. I've got my crosshair on your fucking eyeballs. No face shield.
Yeah.
This helmet. And it's like, that's not a skill issue. You know, like I hit 8 headshots and I die to the guy with the shotgun who misses me like 17 times. But it's like, what am I supposed to do? Just give me PST. That's like the minimum viable, like ammo for 9 mil.
Yeah.
That's all I want. 9 mil PST. Yeah.
My favorite thing is like, people get so weird about like the ammos and stuff like that. Like, I love when like during the BP meta, like 2 wipes ago when it was like bad and like you could get BP everywhere. Every rogue had BP. Like, people would get so offended if they got face tapped with PS. You know how many like clips you can find where people are like, PS? It's like he hit you in the face and you didn't have a face. It's like they forgot bullets work if they're not meta. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Like, you know how many times I've seen clips where people are like BCP, that guy's sus. It's like, you got shot in the face, my man. Like, what do you mean he's sus because he used an ammo that had 36 damage and shot you in the face? Like,
it's the same reason why people will say like the worst 308 round is garbage, but like another round is
but 9 mil AP
because
is goated.
Yeah, it's because it's the second best ammo in another caliber. It's OP, you know, just like with 5 and, you know, back in the day with all that other but
yeah,
now a lot of it has to do with fire rate.
Yeah,
so, you know, so but there are plenty of examples where people look at the stats and like, I'm not going to use that ammo because it's like the 6th best in a caliber, when, you know, like people were complaining the other day about 5.45 PP. Like they don't, because they can't get BT.
Yeah.
It's like
PP is great.
36 pen.
That's insanely good.
If you think 36 pen is bad, you can't win with anything.
Yeah, dude. Yes. You
can't win with anything. But you can't say the same with like 5 pen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I don't want to aim for the legs. Don't untrain everything I've ever been trained to do in my life. You should not be rewarded for being an idiot and aiming for the legs and being forced to do that.
Yeah.
Like, just give me a minimum 27 pen is like mid to high 20s. As long as you're in that range, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Yep.
In my opinion.
And the other thing is like once again, I get the thought of like, okay, well, it's going to feel bad to use like a 308 rifle or a sniper and shoot somebody in the head and they bounce, you know what I mean? And it bounces in the ammo. And it's like, but like,
unless you're the guy with the helmet that bounced the ammo.
But 3 weeks before the wipe, if I asked anybody, said, do you think helmets are worth it? The like overwhelming answer is no. And it's like, so you want helmets to be worth it, but you don't want to shoot somebody in the head and have their helmet absorb it. That doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, either every shot to the head works or the helmets are going to work sometimes. And like, once again,
how much of that though is that kill was the one in 300 raids that you had the chance to get the shooter born in heaven kill. If it's not that, if it's just a kill, it's less bad than another thing that is like, if I've been sitting trying to snipe and been waiting to try to get like a kill for a quest, then it feels like the game stole it from me.
Yeah.
But if it's just a random fight, it doesn't feel so bad. You know what I mean? So again, there's like more nuance to it.
And once again, I'm not saying that I'm rubber stamping these changes as perfect forever and complete in their current stages. I'm saying I like the direction it's going. I'm saying that like M61, M995, ammos like that render armor in this game useless. M61 has 64 pen, okay? You don't have armor on. You think you have armor on. If your opponent...
How much damage?
70 damage. So, like, you think you have armor on when your opponent is wearing M61, but you don't because it has 64 pen. So, like, these ammos being removed, like, we're so in the weeds. And by we, I don't mean like maybe any one particular individual, even though there probably are some confused individuals. We're so confused as a community about what we want. When we get shot in the head, we want helmets to work. When we get shot in the thorax, we want armor to work. When I shoot somebody, I want them to die in one bullet. And we get so confused about all this stuff. And it's like, if you want the time to kill to be a little bit longer, if you want your armor to feel like it's worth it, if you don't want the chads, the people with 7,000 raids in a ripe running TV rigs and shattered masks because that's the only viable scav defense, well then the armor has to work. And if you don't want everybody wearing armor, but you want the armor that has to work, then that means you can't buy the armor in infinite supply. So while I don't necessarily think
we
changes,
all want it every way.
Yeah. While I don't necessarily think these changes are complete or perfect, I'd rather them go this direction. Restricting the ammos, restricting the armors, putting this stuff more found in raid. Now it is going to be more dynamic. You know what else? This could be completely a coincidence, and it could be confirmation bias. What I would say is to make these changes more complete would be put some of these ammos more findable in raid, so that I can have maybe 10 rounds of M61, and then I'll go in with my bolty, right? Because I can have 5 in my DVL or my M700. I can keep the other 5 and I can use them, and I'm gonna get those headshots, right? I'm not full autoing about a 50 rounder foul at Scavs, right? I'm thoughtful about it, right? So I was thinking like, okay, that would be sick. I was on Factory. I looted a green weapon container, 38 M62. I was like, ooh, that's pretty sick. The next day, Customs green weapon container, 28 M62. I was like, oh, this is pretty sick. Today I was playing 39 300 blackout AP. I was like, this is kind of sick. So I don't know if they buffed the spawn chances of some of these items in raid, but loot weapon containers and let me know in the comments, because
Dude, my first mag of every raid is always the good, and it's always just a random scav that I can't hit. I always waste the 995 trying to hit the scav running.
The other thing is that people assume, like, that's the other thing. People are like, with M80 off the traders, I'll never be able to snipe with M80 ever again. And that means I'll only ever snipe with bad ammo, and that means I'll never get a one tap ever again. And it's like, well, that's one way to look at it, or you look at it through the lens of, once again, decision-making skills. You loot, you spend time in the universe, you spend time in the game, you find cool stuff, and then this stuff has value. 17 rounds of M61 has value. Do I want to top load this into my RFB and just pop, 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 pop? Or do I want to wait for this quest and take it to woods with my suppressed DVL because I really want those crispy head taps? You might find some M80. You might craft some M80. It's like people think that it's just gone, deleted from the game. And it's like, I'm not saying the changes are perfect, but I wouldn't mind a little bit more nuance around where to find these things and when I want to use them.
People also have it backwards, though. If you're, let's poll the chat right now. Let's say you are the most casual, the most newbie, the freshest person ever. I'm going to delete all the 308 ammos from the game, except for one, and I'm giving you the choice: BCP or M61. What do you think's best for the new players? If everyone has BCP or everyone has M61? So yeah,
they know it's a trick question.
I also asked like almost 2 different ways, like that negated each other.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I asked which one they wanted to keep or which ones they wanted to get rid of. Anyway, trust me, if you're a new player,
yeah,
you pray to God that the guy shooting you has M61.
Yep. It's got less damage.
Because it's got less damage. The BCP is going to one-tap your thorax.
Yep.
The M61 isn't.
Yep.
You're not wearing an Alton.
Exactly.
That's the only time the M61 is relevant, is when, if you're wearing an Alton, you'll get one-tapped.
Yeah.
So this is the other thing where it's like, and if you're a Giga Chad, and all you run into are mid to low tier players, you don't want M61. You want BCP.
Yeah.
Right? So people need to recognize that, like, the ammo that has higher pen, it almost always has less damage.
Yeah.
So everybody has it backwards, like almost all the time.
Because they look at the changes in a vacuum. They say last wipe, everybody was wearing... Well, they look at the changes in a vacuum and they make stuff up. It's like, well, everyone wears slicks, so pen is everything. And it's like, well, some of these changes restricted armors and made some of the higher tier armors less. So it's like, these changes aren't in a vacuum, right? They removed some of the high tier ammos and they removed some of the higher tier armors. So that kind of works together with each other. And it's like, not everybody wears slicks. Maybe when like pre-wipe starts, you know what I mean? But like, even 2-3 months from now, it's not like slicks are everywhere. You know what I mean? You don't need 64 pen. It's just when the best is infinitely available and you've got infinite money, why not use the best just in case, right? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
That's why, bro, that's why, you know how many times my favorite gun in the game, probably right now, I use it the most, is the MP7. I love that gun. I've always loved that gun. I had a weapons case full of MP7s last wipe. Before pre-wipe started, ask me how many times I used FMJ or APSX. Because the answer for the entire 2,000 raids I did last wipe, or 1,700 raids before pre-wipe started, was less than 5 times I used FMJ. It was subsonic, which you can get from like level 2.
You were using subsonic?
Using
you're saying?
subsonic. The entire wipe. The entire wipe. I have clips of me killing people in a wrist T and a slick with subsonic ammo. And I did it because I genuinely like subsonic better because of the recoil reduction. And then it changed. And it wasn't because I liked the ammo anymore. It was because I knew that these people would come into my chat and ask me and not physically be able to compute. There is higher pen. There is higher pen. There is higher pen. And it's like, well, one, it reduces my recoil, and the more shots I can hit, the better most of the time. And two, it's just becomes this principle of like, you can kill people if you play well. You know what I mean? There were multiple times where I would swing on a guy and I literally, and I have clips where I was like, that was a subsonic moment where it was like the stars aligned. I got a guy, he's got an Alton. I missed my first few shots. I hit my second 3 shots because I didn't have APSX. Those 3 didn't pen and I died. But the amount of raids I used an MP7 with subsonic and the amount of
where
times
you just melted them and it didn't matter.
And the amount of times that I said that was a subsonic moment. So it's like people just they just can't comprehend that you can be successful with anything than the best or the best thing available. And then it's weird. I don't know. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that people were having a debate earlier in chat about like the complexity of the game, whether it's complex or whether it's not complex. And this goes back to what I said earlier about like everything being so intertwined that and also changing in the future that it's like what the fuck do you do? It's like a tangled knot. But like looking back at some of the OG clips from like 0.7, 0.8, I have a video that's like gear doesn't equal skill kind of thing. And it's me like as a scav with like a grotch running 9mm, just like one tapping dudes wearing the best gear in the game, which at the time was Mandible Fast MT Fort. And it was because I had the skill to put the crosshairs between their eyes. To face hitbox them and to kill them in one shot. So their level 6 armor and the level 4 whatever, all like none of that mattered but what's intertwined with that was the ability to be able to move naturally, aim naturally, not have a ton of sway, not have this weird, crazy, like there were times where there was a lot of aim punch, but like a lot of it was the movement and your ability to aim. But when you have such weird difficulty aiming and the optics are kind of janky and everything, well, then now the ammo conversation changes because it's much harder to hit those 2 or 3 or 4 shots than it would be with the same ammo if there was no recoil, right? So it's so difficult to have these conversations because everybody's pointing to change this one thing, when really we're looking at a wall. It's a giant panel with 1 million switches that all change the output. And everybody's only ever pointing to this one knob is the problem. This one knob is the problem because they're looking at everything through a tiny little glass. And some people don't even see how complex all the things are. Some people don't know when you look behind and you see that all of the knobs are wired in together and they're all connected. And then this whole panel of knobs over here isn't connected to anything and you can turn them and nothing happens. And all of that is relevant to making like informed decisions about economy and what's in raid and what's on the traders and how much does it cost and how does it feel to shoot and how much recoil is it and how much noise does it make and how much pen does it have and then how much it's just so complex that's again where it just gets exhausting to have these conversations because they're all too complicated and nuanced.
Yeah.
in a lot of ways to really have a good conversation. So a lot of times you can.
Yeah.
But man, sometimes I just get overwhelmed and tired.
I get it. I do. Yeah.
When you can see behind the curtain and you see the heap of wires.
Yeah.
And you see everybody yelling over dial number 17, and you're like,
yeah, that makes sense. That does. It's just like, yeah, I just get so frustrated that everything just gets taken in a vacuum. Each individual thing. It's just like, well, this armor's gone. I can't do anything. Oh, M80s, level 4 peacekeeper. I'm basically a water balloon now. I have no killing power. You know what I mean? And it's like, and it goes back to that. It's because the changes we want, because sometimes we're not even looking at knobs. Sometimes we're facing away from the switchboard and we're just saying, I want the color to be blue. It's purple.
Yeah, we're looking at the output.
Yeah. And saying I want it different, not even considering. And so then when it goes from, blue to a little bit closer to purple, which is what we wanted, we're like, wait, the blue. And it's like, well, it's because there's so many things. So these are things that we want. We want helmets to work. We want time to kill to be higher. We want armor to actually do something. We want chats to not have everything. And then anytime any progress is made on any one of those things, the volcano explodes. And it's like, well, now I am this and that and this. And it's like, turn around and just look. Like, that's the thing, is the switchboard is more complicated than we think. But all you have to do to get an idea is just go to Mechanic and scroll through all the garbage he has. Go to Jaeger and look at how many ammos he sells. It's like, it's not simple. If you want TTK to be longer, we're so convinced because of the, and I admit it's the weird parasocial streamer thing. Streamer has a conversation a million times, so he boils his opinion down to just like one thing, because I have to say my opinion a million times. Oh, God, I'm so mad at this 762 BP meta. And then that translates to, whoa, well, if we want time to kill to be longer, give it a 762 BP. Not fathoming that it's like, well, you can just buy M61 and it would be M61 meta the next wipe. You know what I mean? And that wouldn't affect the change we all want. We all say we want time to kill, but it's this like telephone effect of what we actually want. And then we don't know the changes we want don't affect the changes we want. Don't adjust the outcome we want, but we want these changes and we want this outcome really bad, not knowing that those things aren't even connected. And so it's just this like crazy line of thinking. And so that's why it's like, we've had the other pendulum in Escape from Tarkov. We had a universe where everything was purchasable on the flea. Found in raid didn't exist. You could have anything you want at any time. And guess what? There were still casuals. There were still chads. There were still poor people in Tarkov. There were still rich people in Tarkov. And I don't care what rose-colored glasses you look back at those times were. We were complaining about Escape from Tarkov. We were complaining that the chads had everything and that I have nothing, even though you found the thing the chads had and you sold it to the chad because you wanted money more than the thing. And so I say again, it
was better when chads didn't exist.
I say again, I'm not saying these changes are perfect and I'm not saying they're complete, but I, for one, am excited to just push the pendulum the other way a little bit and see what happens when we restrict the access to some things and then we give everyone an equal access to find it in raid. And you're still rewarded for playing more because you're going to find more, but you won't have infinite and unlimited access to them. It's just crazy.
Your excited optimism.
Is this excited?
The naive optimism. It gives me a little bit of hope. I would have given up hope, I think, by now. The cynical, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I just want to say, oh, well, it's all, burn it down, boys.
Burn it down, boys. Yeah. So yeah, dude.
Are you playing after this?
I am.
You trying to maybe do a couple of duos?
Let's do it.
Oh my God. Okay. So listen, I'm wondering if I should. I think I can probably tell Wedding Brawl pretty quickly. People. I don't want to miss story time again.
Okay. Let me just like super briefly rip through these last two things because there's.
Yeah. Go for it. People want more. Anyways,
I don't know if this is a bug or not, but I wanna end us on a really negative note. I just really want to drive home that this game sucks. I don't know if this is a bug or not, but have you noticed that there is 0 silent movement in Escape from Tarkov right now? If you throw everything you have on the ground and crouch, you weigh 0 kilograms. Your footsteps are loud.
Yeah, it's been like that forever.
No, but like louder than it was before. You used to be able to like, however quiet it used to be.
Are you wearing headphones though? Whoever's listening is almost always wearing headphones, because without headphones, everything is like
okay,
way
sure,
down,
but whatever.
like broken quiet.
But everybody wears that. Basically, I say it to say this: whatever the decibel meter was, if we were both wearing contacts and I weighed 0 kilograms and was crouch walking as slow as I possibly can, it's just
times 10,
3 times louder. Yeah, it sounds like you're not even crouch walking. Like, it's just crazy. And I pray to sweet Lord Nikita, it's a bug, because that would be the most brain dead intentional change of all time. And then secondly, I guess we can go into this like next week, but I have been a little sad that like the Lightkeeper is basically like inaccessible. Have you seen any of that?
I give zero about Lightkeeper because I don't know, just Lighthouse makes me sick to play.
Lighthouse,
I get 22 frames.
But the trader, the in-raid trader, it definitely got me excited. Our first in-raid trader. What does this look like? How do we get to him? All the questions. He is like it is. Veritas, I'm not exaggerating. It is easier to get the Kappa container than get to Lightkeeper. So like this feature that they hyped us up for, that they said was going to come last year, that they pushed.
But is he even a trader though right now, or doesn't he just talk to you?
We don't freaking know, because nobody's gotten there.
Well, so maybe you can't. Like, what
do you mean? What I'm saying is that we can't.
Did Nikita say the traders in the game go buy stuff from him? Everybody go test, and nobody can figure out how to get there? Or is he just a JPEG at the thing, and they're gonna unlock him in a month? Like, I have no idea. Yeah,
but we can't get answers to those questions. This is what I'm saying. Is that like they hyped us up for all this stuff? I mean, they haven't said that they're gonna unlock him in a month. People got to him because of a bug, because the item you need to cross the bridge was accidentally given as a quest fail. The quest bullshit. You failed that quest. You got the item you needed to cross the bridge. So people got across the bridge not by hacking. They just they didn't know that they weren't supposed to have that thing. And when they talked to him, he says basically it's like a lot of NPCs where it's like in games, it's like, let's do some work together and then we'll talk. And then he gives you like a quest line or something like that people are still trying to do, because it's that hard, because like
did it
7
unlock
people.
The quest line for people actually, like the people who bugged in? Do they actually have a quest? Or
there are people that have lines of quests from him. I don't know how they got them. I don't know if it was level locked
in the game or in like a text file.
No, in the game. Like they've completed. Like they're on like part 3. They don't know how many there are, but they're on part 3 of like quests given by Lightkeeper. So like basically, all I'm saying is that it's super sad, because like they hyped us up about it. Like they talked about Lightkeeper supposed to be in the last patch. They talked about him being like they never said that it was going to be a ridiculously hard thing to get. They never said. I mean, the last time we heard about Lightkeeper was in like in August or September, and somebody asked Nikita about it, and he said like, we really want it to be awesome. Like we want like cutscenes. Like we're really taking our time. Like it's going to be really cool. Like it's just like 17 people are going to get access to him this wipe. And there's all these theories about like maybe he's how you escape Tarkov, when maybe he was supposed to be an end game trader. And all I'm saying is that it just seems a little sad that like he was touted as the first in-raid trader. He was touted as it was supposed to be cool. He was supposed to be a big part of Lighthouse. And like as it stands in the game, like 14 people are going to do whatever the quest is. If they are doing that for testing and they move it to earlier, well, then it's still just weird that they didn't tell us. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is that the sentiment is feels bad for the people, whether you were excited about Lightkeeper or not, there were people excited about it. And it just feels a little bad that he's so hard to get to.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm like an alien or whatever. Maybe it's just because I was so disconnected, but like this just seems like everything else. It would be like being depressed that like you don't like Streets because it doesn't have all of the things from like the expansions and all of those other things. Like it seems like to me, if it's impossible to get to, then they haven't done it yet. Their mistake was even putting part in the game
Sure,
so that it could accidentally be found. But to like,
that's fine.
so
But I'm just saying it feels bad.
Let me just understand what you're saying. It sounds like you're upset that it's too hard to get to, or that's a part of it. So you think not many people are going to experience it because
maybe if I'm saying
it sounds to me like it's not supposed to even be seen yet. So
yeah,
it's
maybe
going to be like at some point they're gonna release him, and it's going to be all the things you wanted.
I'm saying
but like it's not supposed to. It's not released yet.
I'm saying that like I can't fathom an explanation that feels good. If they're just not done with him yet, then why did they put him in the game? Because like,
but why did they put Lighthouse the map in the game if you couldn't get to the lighthouse
before?
That is
not at all the same. That is not at all the same.
No, but they no. I think it is because they've been introducing things in pieces. I'm just trying. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I know. Genuinely confused.
What your analogy to me sounds like they put Streets of Tarkov in the game. You click it and you click go, and then you end up back in your stash. Like that's the comparison to me. It's like, then why did you put Streets on the menu and let me click through it? Like that's where, and put in the patch notes that Streets of Tarkov is here. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between.
Well, no. Imagine if there was a bug where 2 years ago the Streets button was unlocked, and then people clicked on it, and when they got there, it was a broken, empty, like void map.
Yeah.
And then people are like, "This is what we got for Streets." Like, it sounds like he's not supposed to, like, people aren't supposed to have experienced what they've experienced so far. That's the bug. So nobody would be disappointed. But maybe I'm missing something. You aren't supposed to get there, so you wouldn't have seen him, so you wouldn't be disappointed that he does nothing because he's not done yet.
Yeah, I'm very confused at you. Like, sure, that's a reality. But I'm just saying, like, there are quests in the game that are for him. There are cutscenes in the game that are for him. There are items that you can get that are for him. And
there's always been things in the game.
When people bugged, dude. All right, okay. I honestly don't even want to continue. I'm very intrigued. I guess I just don't understand what you don't understand. It's no matter how you slice it, it feels bad. Like saying that like they've done crappy stuff in the past, so don't be sad about this crappy thing feels a little weird. You know what I mean?
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay. It feels like it's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying that they have always implemented things partially.
Yeah. Okay.
So like did they say, "Hey guys, we released Lightkeeper. Go check it out"?
No.
Well, so I think that it makes sense to me if they did that.
Yeah.
Then your reaction would be exactly what I would have too.
Yeah.
But instead, a bunch of people did like the speed run, backflip through the wall invisibly to get to the zone you're not supposed to get to, and are mad it's unfinished. I'm genuinely not trying to be obtuse. I'm not trying to be like a dick.
No, yeah.
I feel like nobody has gotten there legit. Nobody knows how to get there legit. So to me, it's not supposed to be something you should get to. Yeah. So being upset that it's hard to get to, just doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Am I crazy?
No.
So people are saying we got there legit. Maybe I'm confused. Yeah. I'm trying to understand.
I honestly don't know exactly either. I know there was a bug, and I know that item got fixed. I don't know if people have gotten there legit.
You guys can't give me for saying I don't get it when nobody's told me. Yeah. I'm asking.
I don't know if people have gotten there legit either. But
okay then.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
I'm saying okay then for chat. So don't be like, Veritas, you idiot, when you don't even know.
Maybe they did. Chad, has somebody gotten, since the bullshit quest bug was fixed, has somebody been out to the Lightkeeper? I actually don't know. It got kind of weirdly controversial with the people that were reporting it, so I just kind of like separated myself from that.
Okay, so it seems like somebody got there legit.
Yeah. I guess according to chat.
I don't even know what it looks like. I don't know any of that stuff. So people need to stop mauling at me like I don't have any judgment. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
I don't give a about Lighthouse, so I'm not mad. Like, I'm not trying to defend BSG. I have no stake in this game, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
So people have gotten there legit, and we're expecting that because he's in the game, that he would be like fully implemented. You should be able to see the cutscenes, buy and sell from him, and have quests
at all. Like if he's in the game and the game pushes you to him, you should be able to get there. So here's a good example.
Wait, when you say the game pushes you, what do you mean?
But via the quests. Once you get to a certain level, you get a quest, and that quest is like an introduction to like there's a quest line. So the game, if you had infinite time and you followed the game, you'd eventually the game would get you there because you would at certain level you get a quest. So that's what I'm saying is even if you walk up to him and he's just like Skyrim NPC and he's like, hey brother, and then never has a quest for you, I think it would be reasonable to assume that while he was incomplete, that would be how you found him. Right? Like whatever. So if he was implemented only as a PNG, but there was a quest line that was required in order to get to him legit, and people got to that quest line and people got to him, even if he was incomplete, I think it would be reasonable to assume that even when he is complete, that would be how you would access him.
Yeah.
And those quests are harder to get to and complete than like the Kappa container. And so what I'm saying is whether he's fully implemented or not, it just feels bad.
Now I completely understand.
Yeah.
And I completely agree.
Yeah.
See, that was the point. Like, I don't know if I might have missed maybe last week or earlier today or whatever, because literally nobody in chat has told me any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I might have missed when you were talking about it's really hard to get to him. I thought you meant literally walking to him because you get sniped because you don't have the item, which the last time we talked about it, all I knew was that
people
weren't supposed to be able to do it.
People had kind of gotten across. Yeah.
So so you're saying that there's a quest line in the game that is really hard to get to now. You can get to it normally, and it says go to the Lightkeeper.
And it does eventually give you like the item that was bugged as a quest reward. Like we kind of got the sneak peek with the accidental backflip glitch through the wall because they didn't have to backflip glitch through the wall. They were just playing the game and were like given the item.
Okay, so the bug.
And so we know how to get across. It's to follow a quest line and get this item. I don't know if people have completed that quest line legit and got the item. Chat says they have. But once we figured out that there was an item you need, and once we figured out that there were quest lines that got you there, the level and experience required to even get the quest line is so absurd that it made me sad because it's just like ridiculous. And so now we're back at the beginning. Now that we're like on the same page.
And now I completely agree. That's stupid.
Yeah, because basically the only argument I've heard in defense of like, well, that actually might be in the way they wanted to do it is like one day when it's open world and there are no wipes, that will be end game content. And let's assume that's true. Why was it a priority? Why have they been working on them for why was it a priority to get in patch 0.13?
Yeah.
That's my question, because it feels bad that we've heard about this in-game trader for 2 years. The entirety of 2022, he was supposed to be in next patch the entire year. He was supposed to be in 12.12, then the intermediate patch, then he was supposed to be in the 12.5 wipe, and then they literally said in the patch notes of the summer wipe, we added the Lighthouse expansion, but in a few months with an in-game event, we're going to close it down and Lightkeeper's going to be there. And then he wasn't there the whole wipe. So they tease us with that. So my question is, if his intention is to be an end game item that 17 people are going to access, why was he such a priority? So that's the feels bad for me, is that like, yes, I definitely assumed and inferred some things from what they said, that like when they say in-game trader, I'm thinking as accessible as therapist maybe, but just in raid. So maybe I had some assumptions, but what all I'm saying is that it just feels bad that like, I don't even know if I want to go for Kappa this wipe because of how much of a grind it was to go for last wipe. But Dude, leading up in the few days leading up to this patch, I was saying, yes, I'm excited for Streets, but I think that I was like, I think the thing I'm the most excited for is Lightkeeper, because he has so much potential to inform us on how the future of the game is going to be, like having an in-rate trader. I was like, man, I'm so excited. So all I'm saying is that it's just a feels bad that it's like, I have to like do something harder than getting Kappa to get to him. Now, we don't know what he sells or what he does yet. Maybe some people do. I haven't seen that. But
so if he was in game as he is now, and let's say there's a cutscene, but you can't buy and sell from him or whatever, but you could get it like unlocking Jaeger, right? Like it was. Would you have a different sentiment? I'm trying to figure out, like, is it the fact that he's accessible and not finished, or is it the fact that he's so hard? The only way my sentiment,
would change was if they confirmed to us it's only really hard temporarily. We're gonna make it easier later. Then I'd be like, oh, okay. But
totally agree with you.
But
100%.
No matter what he sells, whether what he sells is irrelevant and stupid or really, really cool, either one of those outcomes, I would still be like, well, why is he so hard? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, agreed. And that was originally like my disconnect was I only ever heard about people getting there through bugged methods that shouldn't have been there.
Like,
so why is it that hard?
But he wasn't implemented in the game. Yeah.
I was like, well, you shouldn't, like,
Like if you could glitch onto Streets through customs, it's like, don't be mad that Streets isn't there when you glitch through it. You know what I mean?
Unless they say we have Streets in the game and the only way to get there was a glitching out, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know I'll still somehow get crucified, I'm sure, in the comments for like trying to be obtuse. I think there was just confusion over what my foundational knowledge of this whole thing was.
Yeah. And so ultimately it's just
fucking lame.
It's just there. It's just like it feels bad. So like the things I was the most excited for was to get questions answered. And somebody in chat typed this earlier and it made me mad. They were like, 2 weeks in and we don't know everything. Oh, so dramatic. It's not about time. It's about there are people who are level 57 and don't have access to them. So it's not that they got 57 in 2 weeks. It's how long does it take you to get 57? Were you excited about Lightkeeper? Well, sucks to suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
People complain about the Kappa and that's a single item.
Yeah.
This is like an entire portion of the game.
Exactly. So I don't want to have access to him 2 weeks in. I'm okay if it's not 2 weeks in. But as a person that plays this game as a full-time job, I won't be level 57 until July. Maybe not July, maybe May. So that's all I'm saying is that, like, I don't care that it's 2 weeks in and we don't know everything. Last week I was praising the fact that we still didn't know everything. I love the mystery. But that's what I'm saying. I would rather there be no Lightkeeper quests in the game at all. And the level 57s are wondering, how the hell do you get to Lightkeeper? And then a month in, everybody over level 30 gets a quest. Oh, shoot. And then
a tweet comes out from Nikita that's like a coded thing, and then all of a sudden,
and then everybody over level 30 gets a 10-part quest, and you have to be level. Man, it's going to take you a while. Like that. It's not about time. It's not about Jesse doesn't know everything, so I can't make a YouTube video about it. It's that, like, we unfortunately seem to have a through line, and that through line just feels gross. I'd rather no through line and them surprise us than what we have. Now, there's still time. They can change whatever they want. Next wipe Lightkeeper task could be at level 30. They can change whatever they want. All I'm saying, I'm not saying that they suck as devs. I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is all that I know, which is that it's a feels bad. I could learn more information and completely revert that super hard opinion. But right now, yeah, it's just like, what? I don't know.
Yeah, agreed. I didn't even know that he was like supposed to have been added to the game. So now that I know that he's like implemented, even if it's half implemented, that he's like half implemented, but in a way that's interactable, similar to Streets. Streets is out. You can play it. There's just parts that are blocked off.
Exactly.
And then to find out that, to get into Streets, you need 100 billion rubles.
Yeah.
I would be like, what the
exactly.
Like, what the are you doing?
Exactly. That's a good
okay. And then the original disconnect was like Streets isn't fully done.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you can still use
give them time. So, but it feels like that. It feels
brain dead.
That's a great analogy. It feels like Streets has an entry card, and that entry card is only level 4 therapist, and it's 10 million rubles. And it's like, sure, some people can get in, and you could make and that's another great analogy, because then some people would go, but one day the game's going to be open world and persistent servers, and one day you'll be able to grind 10 million rubles. Like, that's exactly how I think when people say, well, Lightkeeper might be. It's like, then why did you? But we're not open world and we're not persistent servers. We wipe. So it's like, why put something in the game? And
you want us to test it.
Exactly.
You need more than 3 people to test it.
And to your point, the Kappa container, you can put that at level 77 because it's an irrelevant thing. But this was like a pillar of the game, the first in-raid trader. You know what I mean? So I guess that's where I'm at, is it's just like, yeah, sure, maybe one day it should cost 10 million rubles to get access to them. Yeah, cool. But like, the game is probably going to wipe again in 6 months. And maybe they're planning to never wipe again and they never told us that. I don't know. But it's just like, how, like, you know what I mean? Seven's in the chat if you think you're going to get to level 60 this wipe. You know what I mean? I don't even know if I'm going to get to level 60 this wipe. So, like,
I don't know if I'll get to level 16 this wipe.
Yeah. So,
all right, I'm already there. I'm already there.
So that's, yeah.
F0, no shot, F.
F.
420, lol.
LOL.
Yep.
Omega lol. Yeah. So it's just like, yeah. So we'll see. Once again, I'm not writing off BSG as terrible game developers. I'm saying what we have is a feels bad, and maybe they've got some cool master plan that's gonna come out. But
maybe they have some more glass bottles hidden, and that whole thing that was a flop before, maybe that wasn't. Maybe they didn't. You know what? Maybe that was partially done too, and they still have to reveal the final part of the QR code in the message from a bottle.
Remember the 1.5 trillion rubles Lightkeeper took from us? Maybe he's going to give it all back and we'll all be rich and be able to afford to buy key cards and access ports to the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Who knows, bro? Yeah. All right. Wedding brawl. I want to know. That's all the Tarkov stuff.
So this story is one this is like, I'm too young to really remember all of the details, but I've heard the story. I was there very young.
Okay.
But my dad and my uncles, this is the most epic thing ever.
Okay.
So my aunt, I believe, it was my aunt, had gotten married, and my dad's sister. And after the wedding, the whole like party, they were just having an after party. You know, this is like, I don't know how many years ago, 30 years ago or something.
The 70s.
They were having the party just at someone's house.
Okay.
At my aunt's house, or my grandfather's house. And just randomly out of nowhere, knock on the front door. And they open it up. And it's this guy who's like strung out on meth or something, bath salts. I don't know what people were doing, just completely. And he was like, here for the party. And he's like, we're like, not this party, dog. Like,
yeah,
nobody here knows
for
you.
This party.
I think there was like another wedding somewhere or something, but he was up. And he's like, no, this is where I'm supposed to be. We're like, no. The guy on the front steps, his reaction to this, with like kids around, it's a wedding,
yeah,
family, friends, unzips his pants and whips out his cock and balls and just starts flinging them. My dad, Adam Vinatieri, kicks him in the twig and berries. Just kaboom!
Bro.
The guy,
your dad's
doesn't
awesome.
Flinch.
Oh God.
He's that on whatever. And then all of my uncles, my grandfather, just like, I've never seen a worse, like, just, I'm surprised the guy didn't die. Just a bunch of just like 40, 50, 60-year-old men just on top of him,
just
dude.
Taking turns
just
kicking him in the dick.
Town, dude. This guy got so up. It was unbelievable. And the cops came and they're like, yeah, we know the guy. Tossed him in the back of the car. It just the most amazing. I remember seeing like my grandfather. I'm picturing like Dragon Ball Z, the streaks of light.
Yeah.
He's just like flying through the air, dude. off the front porch, but holy. No, this wasn't in GTA, boys. This was real life.
In GTA.
A guy strung out on crack or something shows up, whips out his twig and berries.
His Dragon Ball.
Old man goes to the field goal. And the dude doesn't flinch, which is like, uh-oh, you know?
Bro, your dad is... I need to meet this man. After dad fight...
He's like this tall.
Dude, after dad fight and this story, holy cow.
Oh, God almighty. I'm out of breath now from that.
That's insane. How old were you approximately when you witnessed this?
I don't know. I think like 3, 4.
That's... But like you said, I'm sure this story has come up a million times. You remember when we beat the hell out of this
about the guy whose Dragon Balls I saw when I saw that guy's Dragon Balls.
Tell me all about...
Oh my God,
bro.
But what a wild thing. It's like, yo, you're at the wrong place, homie. No, I'm not. Zip. Like,
yeah, how far in outer space are you to just like...
Oh, man.
He went back like a million years to just like marking his territory. Like, no, this is where I'm supposed to be.
I don't know what his end game was for that, but it's just...
Yeah, that's...
everybody's all their ties undone and shirt buttons ripped and stuff. And they're just like, all right, well, let's go back to the party.
The last part, you want to be vulnerable in that moment when you're like, no, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. So next week I want to talk about, I was talking about this on stream. I want to talk about firing an employee.
Okay.
Because it's actually like a really interesting ethical discussion. And this is one of the moments in my life where I actually I feel like a big mistake and I regret, and I feel like I didn't do the right thing.
Interesting. But
it wasn't an easy choice. It's kind of like, do you stand up for your homie or do you do the right thing? And then what happens when, maybe they put you in not the greatest position? What do you do? It's interesting. So I want to like put a stake down and say, I want to talk about that next week.
That's
I think
interesting.
That'll be an interesting discussion.
I like that.
Anyway, I'm out of breath.
Dude, what a podcast.
Oh yeah,
what a podcast. This was
let's go do duos and go to Lightkeeper, dude.
Let's do some raids. Well, thank you guys for hanging with us. There was a whole lot of Tarkov shenanigans happening. It'll be really interesting, man. Just need, like you said, A, how these things actually affect as the wipe progresses, but B, if they do any more of these changes. So yeah, I too am out of breath. Banging podcast. Thanks for hanging with us. This will be up. I'm positive this will be up on Monday, and I am positive that either tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday, they will drop huge changes, and people will ask why we didn't cover them in the podcast because we recorded on Thursday. They only do changes on Fridays, bro. It's crazy.
We gotta remember to say the date.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned that it would be a good idea to say like the day and the date at the beginning of the episode to give people context.
That's a good idea.
That'll be good. Of course, I forgot to do it this time, but
yeah,
good constructive feedback.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Yep, that is a good idea.
Don't not just eat and die. This is the normal feedback.
It's the normal. But anyways, this will be posted on Monday, and we'll be back again next week. Thank you so much for hanging with us, and we will definitely see y'all on the next one.
Peace.